Robinson, we're recording.
Okay, ready.
You ready? If I can get your attention, Mrs. Jeanette, the loose thing. First of all, I wanna, are we on this Zoom?
Yep.
Okay. And, I wanna invite everybody to the West Tampa Community Development Area Community Advisory Committee for June 17th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. here in the beautiful Hillsborough Education Foundation, building at 2306 North County Avenue, 33607. We got a tight, long agenda. One of our board members has to be out of here by 7:15, so we need to make sure that if there's anything, Mr. Brenda, that we need to vote on, that we don't lose a quorum if they leave. So we do have a quorum, and we can continue. But if we're gonna get close to 7:15, say 7 o'clock, and we gotta vote, we have to vote. Well, we got a quorum, we're gonna be staying a stall for another meeting, or for somebody to show up. Okay, so I want to say that. So let's call the order of the meeting. This is, I'm gonna call the order of the meeting, and ask for a roll call, Ms. Brennan.
Okay, good afternoon. As I call your name, just say here. Joe Robinson,
Here.
Carlos Ramirez, Michael Brasia. I think he's online.
He said he would be on.
Yeah, I see him, okay. Sandy Sanchez. Here. Yeah. Janice Williams. Here. Bobby Wilson.
Here.
Jeanette Larissa Fenton. Here. Cynthia Maloney. Here. Delphine Jones. Here. Tina Young. And David Alonia. Chair Robinson, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brennan. I'm gonna take chair privilege here tonight, unusual circumstances. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 1 minute of silence for Mrs. Gwendolyn Henderson, our CRA chair, and our district 5 city council person. So I'm gonna start that 1 minute now, so if I can get your attention, just be a little quiet. And it's starting now. Thank you. Okay, that's our 1 minute. Okay, we have public comment. If you want to speak, you have 3 minutes. And if you just state your name, we appreciate it. So is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak for 3 minutes? If so, let us know. Give it the mic, it's public comment. Anyone? Going once? Twice? Okay. Is anyone online, Mr. Thoreau? You got someone online? Okay.
3 people online.
One's an AI. What?
Does anyone online that want to speak? Public comment for 3 minutes? Is that Michael Randolph up there?
Yeah, that's Mike Randolph here. So yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. What I want to do is just give an update on our upcoming meeting dealing with artificial intelligence. First, I want to start with job losses related to artificial intelligence between 2023 and 2025. In 2023, 4,000 people lost their jobs. In 2024, 761,000 people lost their job. In 2025, in February, 3.8 million people lost their job. The largest, and this is only in a single month. I'm saying all that to say about our upcoming workshop that will focus on artificial intelligence, especially on how do you create new jobs, especially for folks that's living in this disenfranchised community. That's coming up on the 30th Looking forward to seeing everybody, and thank you.
Okay, so anyone else, that wants to speak online for 3 minutes to the public comment? If not, Chair recognizes that Mrs. Tina Young has arrived, so make sure she's counted as attended. Has everyone had a chance to look at the May 20th, 2012 meeting notes and so I entertain a motion to approve or whatever?
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve by Mr. Sanchez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Maloney. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay, motion carries. We have presentation, now we gotta get through these, we have, before you got in, Mr. Dunn, one of our board members has that hard stop at 7 at the lead, so I think we'll still be okay with the point once you walk in the room. But they got a hard stop. So, Mrs. Throyd, is there any changes to this agenda before I roll? I know you said that you had somebody that wanted to be here, this and that, so I just wanna make sure we still good. The way it's printed, or is there any change?
It's good as printed. The grants team is en route, though. I'm not sure exactly when they'll be here, so,
We ain't got them yet, so we're
not there yet.
right now, we still, people might be there. Okay, let's
Good
just
right
get,
now.
all right, let's just get into it, let's get into the songs. Ray Park, okay, Angel Wood, Mark, from the Financy Group, and Tony Monk, Parks and Recreation.
I think Angel has some updated renderings, mostly the playground, and we did do material finishes and selections for the center itself. And I'm afraid to say, I don't think that the rendering does it justice. It came out awfully dark, but we're going with a real cigar factory kind of mixed field of red brick, and then a darker band of accent red. So it's going to be really, the materials look amazing, and the rendering doesn't do it justice. So we'll try to get a slide that shows the actual materials, and maybe we'll share that through email with everybody so you can see it. I don't want y'all to look at these pictures and be like, well, that looks worse than it did. Because it really does look lovely. And then we put a lot of shade on the playground, and with this render, this is actually getting into technical documents. So they took the technical document and just labeled it up. But you can see all these little triangles. Those are the shade structures over the playground. We'll eventually have trees. But y'all know it takes a while for the trees to grow. So they got a lot of shade sails. You can see the size of the shelter there. So the little shelter here and the big shelter up there. So we're putting a lot of shade in. And then we have the existing tree down here, which will help shade all the fitness equipment. And we got the big porch that y'all know about. So we have a whole lot of shade going on. So that's new. And then with the playground equipment, if we go to that, we had a workshop with city staff, with our Parks and Rec staff. We do a lot with the playgrounds and the kids' experience. And all the all-ability stuff. We have several all-ability pieces included in the project, and a lot of the really fun ones. We got that We Go Round that we have down at Barlow Park. The kids love that one. Oh, here we go. There we go. Oh, it's dark. We all get this in email too. Maybe we're gonna do the lights real quick.
We'll dim the lights. We're printouts.
Yeah, the printouts turn out a little bit better. But that is pretty much the color scheme. We felt like that was a really good, joyful color scheme, and it really plays off the more somber tones of the building, which is brick and black and silver and a lot more staid. And then the playground's a lot more fun. So we got a lot of fun colors going on. And like I said, I got that We Go Round, which is this one. I mean, everybody with any kind of mobility and age loves the We Go Round. So we've been really getting that in a lot of our parks lately. There's a lot of accessible features at the ground level on this piece of equipment. One of the things we really like about it is it has like these sort of conveyor belt material that swings down like this. So whatever your range of mobility, you can transfer onto that belt thing, and you can sort of scramble up and down and play with all your friends. So, and we got this big sort of multi-abilities swing situation here that you can transfer onto. And if you don't have a lot of body control, you can actually lay on it, and your friends can like swing you around. So a lot of cool stuff. We have a lot of functional play links, they're called. You see how the little igloo thingy has little stepping stones that you can balance on, and it takes you all the way back to the big structure. So we're getting a lot better about designing these things. It's like if you look at the old structure down at the MLK Rec Complex, that's that old post-in platform. There's like 2 slides on it, and it's not super interesting. All this new stuff is way more interesting. So Where we're at, if you have specific questions about schedule, let Angel is here to talk about that. But we're getting ready to submit for the site plan review, which is a new process that the city has, where you got to submit your site plan for review first. And then we're gonna probably do an early work permit for demolition, because we suspect it's gonna take a while to get through the building permit process, and we don't want that to slow us down too much. So we're hoping to get a demolition permit and get busy taking down the center probably in the fall, September-ish. And hopefully by the time we get all our demolition and site prep done, we're hoping that we have that building permit rolling in and we can roll into building the building. And that's where we're headed. That's
Okay, is there any questions by, the committee? Mrs. Maloney, then Mrs. Williams, and then Mrs. Jones. Ms. Maloney.
I just wondered about the lawn. What are you gonna do on the lawn?
It's gonna be irrigated and we're gonna cross our fingers. It's just a little open playing field. And it's
That's a
not,
lot of space. I just wondered, it's gonna look, it could look really nice, but I wondered how you're gonna keep it that way.
irrigations and fingers crossed. That's the
I
best we
was
can do.
gonna suggest a different material, like perhaps perennial peanut instead of grass.
Not as nice to play on.
It's not bad. It forms a mat, It's
Yeah.
stringy.
If the committee will volunteer to come pull the sedge out of the perennial peanut every week, then we'll do perennial peanut.
I'll
It
read
gets
that.
weedy.
How about that?
Yeah, they can't be yellow flowers. But yeah, we'll do a lawn. We'll probably do something super durable like a Bermuda that can hold up to the plate.
Oh,
We want the kids to be able to kick a ball and do little things like that.
you're following Florida-friendly landscaping guidelines, maybe, kind of, sort
To
of?
the extent practical, but when you're trying to provide a community good, like an open play field, like our ball fields, not Florida friendly. Our open play fields that we try to keep grass so people can go play, not Florida friendly. We want people to come to the park and use the common lawn, not have lawns at their house. So if everybody can come to the common lawn, that's the most Florida friendly thing we can do.
Okay. Well, you've got all these other plants too that could be.
Yes, and those are all gonna be low irrigation, and mainly because we do care about Florida friendly, but most we care about maintenance and keeping it nice. And so the more Florida friendly we can go, the lower our maintenance burden is.
Right, fewer inputs.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Mrs. Williams, and then Mrs. Jones.
How much advance notice will be given to the staff at Ray Park in terms of when the park will be closed because there are activities?
So they've been working with us hand in hand in planning and design. So we work directly with Ted Fowler, Gary Williams, Marlon Monroe, and Marlon is Richard's boss. So they're all in communication throughout the process. They're developing every single way.
Right, but even when you might not have specific dates, like for example, would you at least give them 2 weeks notice?
Oh,
4 weeks
I'll tell
notice?
them, it's a good point. I don't remember the last time I gave them a schedule update. It might have been a couple months ago.
Okay,
So when I leave here or first thing in the morning, I'll send an email to that team and say, well, I'll talk to Angel first. We're gonna talk about schedule and get it tightened up a little bit more than season and month. And as soon as we get an updated schedule from Angel, I'll share that with the team, and so they know when it's coming.
I don't know if this next question is really something that you would address, but at one point in time, there was a desire to have more lighting around the perimeter of the park. And I believe some time ago, we as a group voted to approve funding for.
You may have, I don't recall, we got a price from Tico, because that's right-of-way lighting, and they gave us a price of, I want to say it was 120,000 or somewhere, it was over 100,000 to improve all the lighting around the park. So we've got that price and commitment from Tico, and it just needs to be funded, and they'll come out and do the work.
Let me cut in. We're gonna be actually funding $1 million, and I think it's appropriate.
And that's
We're not gonna do this park and the street behind there, the streetscape behind, the lights behind there, all that, the streets, we got the brick on Pelham, we got the brick on Cherry.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it right.
Okay.
So that's another conversation, I'm gonna say on it, but It's called streetscape or something.
Yes.
Which, right now, we're gonna stick in the park, but yeah, you're right.
Okay.
And that streetscape will be where the lights, Tico, poles, this, that, get resolved, if I recall.
Correct.
That's an ask that they're gonna ask us in addition to what we've already funded to deal with that, but it's not, I don't see on the, I thought it was gonna be on the.
Well, you can ask the question when everybody's done, and I'll talk about it.
Okay, let's, go ahead.
That's it, thank you.
All right, Mrs. Jumbo.
Okay, you said the tear down should start in September.
So we're open for it. Yeah,
I'm
permitting.
hoping to, because I'm more excited than you are. The other question is the street, the opening. Do you have two entrance ways, one on Howard and one on
We
the
have
side?
1, 2, 3. We have one on Palmetto, which is where all the kids get dropped off now. We got one down in the southwest corner at Howard and Cherry. And then we have one on the southeast corner at, down here. You can see it down at Twit and Cherry. We have an entrance down there as well. So we have 3 entrances.
And what did you decide to do to it? How is that going to explain?
We can talk about that a little bit in the streetscape discussion, but we're using it still operationally for vehicles. So whether it's street or driveway, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to use it because we're going to have the garbage truck come in, get the garbage, and we're going to have parking spots and stuff. So it's still going to act like a street.
And what about the mural? What are you doing with the mural?
Corey's here, and he's going to talk a little bit, give you the update on his conversation with the artist.
Okay. And, there's a memo from Mrs. Thrower about the, funding request for supplemental information for the street grade improvements. It's in your pack, we can send out, we'll get that, but right now we're talking about this part. Is that it, Ms. Jones? Anyone else? My turn? Now.
Second pass.
They ain't even had the first pass yet. All right, listen, the only thing I see on here is, you know, I'm so glad to see this. Hope I'll be alive and get done. Yeah, no, I'm going on, but listen, the only thing I didn't see was, I know part, stuff's gonna happen, okay? We ain't gonna, first of all, we ain't gonna be able to put no food truck on there. All right, I'm just saying, I know, maybe I said, let's put it on the streetscape.
There you go.
All right, the other thing is that, I didn't see a way that you could get a service vehicle on here. I mean, I didn't see any interest.
So there's 2 things going on. You see that wide walkway between the basketball court and the building?
Yeah.
That's gonna be ready to carry trucks.
Okay,
So
I
we get
was saying,
and
how,
then-
I could have parcel got to have.
Yeah, then we've got a double gate over there by the swing set, because we're doing that engineered wood fiber under the swings, and we always are replacing that with skid
Exactly,
steers.
so I'm trying to, how you
So
have,
that's our 2 main locations.
that's where you get it on there? Got it, and then I see you put the dumpster way over here with no facade, like.
Let me tell you, the staff would love to have that dumpster up near the building.
No.
It didn't work out
Nah,
with
put it on the swip, man.
the truck movements and everything. They just have to cart the garbage over.
Okay, you know, I was looking at that. That's all I seen was just, other than this, man, I'm just waiting.
And while y'all got me up here, I'll talk a little bit about the streetscape, so.
Okay, well, okay, Ms. Maloney?
No, thanks, I was gonna talk about the garbage, the dumpster, the
Okay,
location of
all
it.
right, with that, does this require, Ms. Grover, do we have to make a motion or anything for this?
It's just an update, huh?
It's not 90% though, right?
No, this isn't, this is just an update, and I think.
Okay, that's an update, so you don't need us to vote on that
No, I don't think we need you to really to vote on anything until we,
to the 90?
May 99.
Yeah,
I think we're good. There'll be
yeah,
a,
we're rolling.
there'll be a GMP that will request your recommendation on.
Okay, that's the,
I think that'd be the next thing.
GMP will have those updated drawings and all.
Yeah.
Right, that's the 90, all right.
So your action will be, GMP is within budget, we're satisfied with what they've provided, they met our expectations. Approved
Okay,
contract.
let's roll on into, let's move on from Rick Paul, let's move on to the acts. It's not on the, that's part of.
Yeah, well, it's all part of Ring Park.
All right, it's part of Rick Paul, but in your packet,
Just really quick, would you like to look at the building?
I ain't worried about that, I don't know.
Well, I thought we were just sharing with you.
Oh, that's what he said, the
Yeah.
color ain't right.
This is the right
Yeah.
color, it's gonna be redder than
Oh, yeah?
that. But it's, the building's gonna look like that, so the
Yeah.
shape has to
But trust me,
change.
that's what it's down with that look.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be,
mean, I'm not worried about it.
we're messing around with color, it's not a
I'm
great.
ready.
Yes, ma'am, the whole site is finished.
Okay, because it doesn't show that.
Yeah, well, because you're architects, you gotta show the building, they don't show the trees the way they ought to be.
No.
We can have a whole conversation about that.
Yeah.
Okay, now, they have there's a June 17th, behind the Ray Park, it shows a national notional. I don't know. Notional
Don't get me
time.
started on that one.
But anyway, about a selection thing, what is this, is that?
This was, I think that's where staff are trying to outline sort of the process of getting this, streetscape. Yeah,
Get a streetscape.
get a streetscape.
All right, so this is strictly related to
So,
streetscape.
we heard from staff,
All right,
right?
we're gonna move, we're moving now to talk about the staff funding recommendation, and I think we gotta vote on that.
Yeah.
And supplemental information for the West Delano Street, Twitch Street, and Cherry Street streetscape improvements. Well,
And so we heard from Bryce, he let us know that at the last meeting, y'all were like, hey, city staff, sharpen up your pencil, how can we work together? What can we do on this to try to work on the price and the efficiency? And what we were able to learn is mobility does have an on-call service. They can hire an engineer to do the design for the roadway stuff. Parks and Rec can offer to do the streetscape behind the curb in-house design. And then we can just bid out a ready-to-go set of plans. And that's how we think we're gonna get the best value on this, is by doing design in-house and having a package ready to go, and then bid that out and get a good price. Of course, Angel and her team will have an opportunity to bid on that, and if they're in a good position, because they're already gonna be mobilized, maybe we get a real good price from them. But we don't mess around with the design build stuff, we just go ahead and issue a set of drawings that are ready to be built. And that's our strategy on it, so we had an estimate of $1 million, we sharpened our pencils up, we took some design out. We think we might be around 900, but we really don't know till we core twit and we find out how bad the road face is under that and how much we have to reconstruct it. So I would, even though we sharpened our pencil,
pipe that runs in.
I don't know anything about a sewer pipe.
We're not through the street, through the park, and we're getting back in here.
We're not digging that deep.
Okay.
No, but all of that, so we sharpened our pencil, got it down, we think maybe the estimate's 900, but I would still say you probably want to budget $1 million, and we do our best to come under it.
And fellow, the committee members, there's a breakout of $1 million on part of the, memo, the last back table memo.
Yeah, I think you still want to,
But we're gonna go with that, that's an ask, but I'm just saying, we want to see the breakout of $1 million, it's this last page of it.
and now that includes the Tico cost as well.
Yeah.
So that gives you streetscape lighting as well.
All right, is there any discussion?
I just have a question.
Mrs. Young.
On the roof, I thought West Tampa couldn't have flat roofs. Is that not the case?
Well, until somebody tells me otherwise.
It was Tampa overlay system, but it's between you and planning.
It is between us and planning, and they take care of all the cigar factories that have flat roofs. And that may be a residential requirement. But we have commercial buildings with flat roofs, so. it may be more residential. So, but we'll get there. We like to look at the building, and then we'll tell them just pitch the drain, so it's not really flat.
What I like about this, it keeps that southern industrial.
So no issues with flooding, with hurricane, all that?
Oh, well, Mr. Robbins, I'll tell you, we didn't flood in West Tampa.
Nope, we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, on this side, anybody called me, said they got 6 inches of foot of water in the county.
But yeah, that's all part
We
of the
say flood, we mean in the
design.
house, not in the road.
That's all part of the design, that we're accommodating the storm.
You might not get this
The
done.
gentlemen, go ahead.
800 years.
Okay.
I'm not saying a word.
I need anything on this side, if not, I'll entertain a motion the motion would be, if you look at the conclusion, it says, the proposed Great Park streetscape improvements are consistent with the Tampa CRA's quality of life and connectivity objectives. The improvements would also meet the goals and strategic actions of the West Tampa Salary Parking Study. Staff respectfully requests the funding recommendation of $1 million to allocate to the Ray Park streetscape improvements. And I'll entertain a motion if somebody so feel to do so.
I approve. I motion to approve.
You motion to approve the $1 million to allocate the Ray Park streetscape improvements.
Correct.
Is there a
A
second?
second.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Bobby, and there is Wilson, and there's one by Mrs. Sanchez, a second. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. So Brendan, you do what you got to do to get back with us. Okay, next item on the agenda is public arts. Project update with Mr. Corey Robinson, Arts and Folks Coordinator. And I've had a lot of people asking me what's happening. They haven't, I know the census and everything, but I told them I don't know. Because I had an artist that was saying he gave some design, you don't know what happened. And I just told him, I think tonight you might find out what's happening. So there's a couple of things going on. And I don't know how y'all doing, but the census got representative, so you got to
Corey Robinson, Arts and Cultural Project Coordinator. So I got 3 updates. First one, we'll start with Great Park, because that was mentioned already. So hold on one second, I'm gonna get a hand up for you all. So the mural in Ray Park, obviously in the new design, it's not an exterior mural, and we're going to put it on the glass in the flex room on the interior of the building. This does shrink the size of the original mural. So the original mural right now is about 9 feet by 100 feet. The new space is where the mural will be printed on the glass. It will be 6 feet by 40 feet approximately. So this handout is for, my request is for every one of the CAC members to take this with you, circle the top 5 things that you love about the mural. Any suggest, because this mural is a timeline of West Tampa up until the date it was painted. If there's any other new events that have happened in West Tampa that you think are significant and you would like to possibly see the artist recreate in the mural, please jot that down, and you can get these back to Brenda at the next CAC meeting. And then we'll give these all the artists. We do have the original artist from the mural. We've had some meetings with him. He is on board to recreate in the same style as the original mural and take pieces of the original mural to create something new for the new community center. So we're really excited about that. He's also really excited about that. He's also worked on, Rosa Valdez recently. And so giving this information, we'll make sure to get this information to the CAC members who are also not present here tonight.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Like Shannon, let me just say this, man. I know Carl Harden when he was just starting out. His mom used to teach over at the University of Tampa. Carl Harden, third year, okay? And he is great. And I was just so impressed that mural was put up there in the 80s, man.
Yeah, 84, 88 or something.
86 or something like that. There's a date on it over there. And one of the things that I like about it, there was 3 houses on Another Street. That's not CCA. It got knocked down, we built 3 more. But it was true, it got burned up in the fire. And if you look at that last page, you'll see the children breakdance. That's back in breakdancing time. And what we did is we actually, you'll see that band shell, the so-called Michael Jackson out there. And you'll see the West Tampa Arts Corporation. That was our corporation that we started back in 1980. The first nonprofit, community-based, revitalization corporation in Tampa before any of the West Tampa Revitalization Corporation. That was the president at the time. But the thing is they listed the names of the kids because they took a photograph of them and they just had a number that showed what their names were. So the whole family got burned up over there. It was really sad. So we decided to put that mural out. And that's like sort of the end of the time frame. So the mural goes from left to right. You notice it goes from McFarland Park, Archway, which is really an off course. You really know about that. It's also an off course in the middle of the natural office. McFarland Park. And then it rolls on around. It picks up a lot of different historical buildings, the different people, the street car and all that. And it costs them a lot of time on it. So I'm glad to see that we're going to restore it. He's going to scale it down, I guess, and then try to add the other new things that popped up. So I'm just glad to see that we're going to keep it mural. Because I was hardcore to say we're going to build a new building, but I didn't need a new building. And more energy efficient, more this better layout with this, better layout. And so I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that there was some kind of way. It ain't all the murals, it ain't new piece, but at least, keep those children.
Yeah.
That's that thing. Because every time I look at it, I think, so that's all I got. If nothing else, we'll move back to your general.
So yes, please bring that back, submit it to Brenda. She'll get it to me. We'll get it to Carl. We'll figure out how to get it to the other CAC members. If you guys can bring that back next month, that would be awesome. Take your
Well,
time.
we don't have a meeting.
Yeah,
it's
August.
August, yeah.
So in August, we,
Yeah,
is that good enough?
yeah, that's great.
Okay, you got 2
And
months.
any other suggestions, because like the chair mentioned, the mural stopped in like 86-ish. So if there's other events that happen in West Tampa, please jot them down. You can give me a list. You can write it right on that somewhere, just add-ons. And so we can have everybody's input for, to scale it down and to create new. And he's really excited. So that's the first update.
And you said on glass. Did I hear that correctly?
Yep, so
What is this glass?
the flex
Is a
room.
glass wall in there somewhere?
It's this, there's a storefront.
Maybe I should have asked you about the interior, but is a glass wall in there somewhere? I don't know about the wall for the glass.
No, it's more of a storefront portion, so that if you're in the main portion of the building,
Yeah.
you can, whoever's doing the programming can see inside without having to walk inside.
Okay.
So it's gonna be like the door, and it goes all the way down the wall
Wow.
and around the
Wow.
corner. And we're gonna etch, well, I don't know exactly about etch, but the image is gonna be on the glass,
Got it.
kind of like New Tampa Rec a bit, where they have the same concept, I guess.
A little bit more translucent than the New Tampa Recreation Center, but it's essentially like printed on and sandwiched between 2 pieces of glass and then installed into the storefront windows. So people that are working in the parks department can see in while the flex room is being used, and they, but still has a very cool design with the mural represented on the interior of the wall.
Oh, I see.
It's a little bit of
Right
a
around the
newer
section.
concept. We're
Yeah.
going to be working with a glass vendor that actually did in Canada too as well. So it should be a really cool project and really long lasting. There won't be needing to come out and touch it up or anything like that.
But they have any big comes down in Twistle. Well, you over there moving, now, you do the same, so you got anything to say?
When you get to when you get to the traffic, I have plenty to say.
Oh, we're going to public art right now, and the mural, we done with the mural? Okay, we done with the mural, let's move on to the rest of now we move to the rap art, or whatever.
Yes, and I'll touch briefly on the ground murals. Ground murals, we had, thank you.
We say ground mural, you mean the ones out in the six of the streets?
Yep, Main Street and Fremont, and Main Street in Albany, and Roman Fig. We had our first meeting. We selected 3 finalists. Those finalists are going to present at a meeting that I'm working on scheduling right now at the end of July, early August. The 3 finalists will present to the Art Selection Committee, and then we will pick finalists, and we will start scheduling out painting. So that's for that project. Thank you, Cynthia, for being a part, and everybody on the panel was great. It was a great experience. Another handout we have for the Signal Labs project. Oh, that's not sorry. So thank you, Ms. Sanchez, for all the help on the panel. We had 2 meetings, one in I believe it was May, and then one recently. The first meeting was scoring the 27 artists that applied. We narrowed it down to the top 9 artists.
We had 27.
Yeah, the ground murals actually got 34 artists, so that was a little bit of a bigger reach. Maybe the project budget was a little bit more enticing, I'm not sure, but both great turnouts for just pushing it out through our marketing and our social media. So the second meeting was to pick, each artist submitted 2 designs based on the themes. Every artist did a great job. There was a lot of great selections. Everything came out really beautiful. All the designs are in your packet. This isn't for a vote or anything, this is just an update on how the project's going. We're hoping to start wrapping these boxes mid to late July, and hopefully the wrapping will be finished by mid-September based on weather, but we're pulling the permits right now, so that's like been going good. Ms. Sanchez did a great job, helping with the themes and the history and providing insight the whole way through, so it's been a wonderful process. And these are the designs that were chosen by the art selection committee, and those are my updates.
Okay, Ms. Sanchez, give up mic, please.
First, I want to thank Corey for putting this together in such a timely fashion. It's probably our only project that we're actually going to see finalized quickly from beginning to end. The problem is, I voted against most of these. I did not think that they were representative of what we wanted from West Tampa. The art, it's not against the art or the artists. It's just I don't think it was conveyed to the artist enough about West Tampa. The first one, for example, women in West Tampa, and some architecture. I mean, really? 4 profiles? And the architecture, I guess it's one of the buildings. And then cigars and dominoes, to me, even though I appreciate cartoonists, I just didn't think it did a real good depiction of what the West Tampa CAC wanted to promote to the community, to let them know what we were doing. The drum major was supposed to be the drum major from Blake High School. I don't think there's ever been a female drum majorette in Blake High School.
Not yet.
And the colors. The historical architecture, I felt, were cartoonish. You have to look to actually see what they are. The music of West Tampa, there were a couple of them, more colorful, but this is the one that went closest. The theme for the food was fine. The indigenous people of West Tampa, I have no idea what that has to do with the West Tampa community. And then there were 2 imaginatives, which could have been used for something that has to do with West Tampa instead of imaginative. Now, in fairness, you all picked the themes. I don't know if there was any discussion on the themes, because we had a discussion at our first meeting, and at that point in time, there was one about wild animals in West Tampa, which I talked them out of that one. The indigenous people, I couldn't talk them out of that one, but I just don't think that that's a reflection of what we wanted. I don't think this thing's working. Anyway, just to get an idea, Corey knows how I felt, Cedric knew how I felt at the meeting. There's nothing we can do about it. The only thing I suggest is next time, if you have an art project, you be involved from the beginning and more than one person, okay? I'm in there defending West Tampa CAC. The other people are defending the artists. And that's fine, but the artists were not the primary. The primary reason we did this is because we wanted the West Tampa community, we want to reflect what's going on in West Tampa, and these do not. And that's all I have to say.
Anybody else? Ms. Fenn? And then Ms. Jones.
We're funding this project, right?
Yes, CAC put up $35 already, no?
I mean, I know that this is the tail end of the project, but we're the funders, and if we're not happy with it, there's nothing to say we have to move
Well, I
forward
don't
with
think
it.
that we took a vote to say we're not happy with it.
Pardon me?
I've heard one person say that, I haven't heard everybody, the majority of people
Well,
say that.
I don't mean to speak for, but if other members of the advisory committee are not happy with this, we shouldn't feel compelled to move forward if we don't think it's an adequate reflection of West Tampa or what we wanted to see in the project. I mean, it's late in the game for that, and that's a concern, but
Too late.
at the same time, I don't think we go forward if it's
What I'm
not something
saying
we're
is,
happy
for
with.
next time, I just wanted to point out the things that I found that were negative about it, okay? I mean, Corey did a great job of getting the artists together. We had a great presentation of what the artists did. We selected some of the artists. That was all done. Somehow or another, it was a communication
either between Corey and the artist. Somewhere, we lost that. But I think before we got to this stage, it should have come here, so we could have voted, because each one of these had two. There's one of two that were selected. That you had the opportunity to look at them and give feedback. So I'm not asking you to not pay for these now. I wish we could, I don't think we can. That's up to you all. But the main thing I wanted to point out to you is next time, make sure that you're more involved with the process.
I'm gonna hear from some other, does anyone else got anything to say about China, Ms. Malone?
Thank you. I agree with Ms. Sanchez. I don't like these designs. I don't think they reflect at all what we had in mind when we set out to do this. So,
Anyone else before I speak?
I'd just like to say, where I like, for the most part, I like all the kind of art is, you know, subjective. When I look at the first one, I'm thinking I see the shades of women, like from, you know, I think is a good representation of West Tampa. The buildings, the art factor, I think is on point. When we talk about West Tampa Cigar and Domino's, it's all the elements of West Tampa are there. Drum major, you know, I think it speaks to Blake. And the one about the architect, historic Main Street, like, you know, it could be bigger, but overall I think it hits the mark. Overall, I'm pleased with what is presented. I understand Ms. Sanchez, like, hey, we could have done a better job of like really articulating what we want, but based on what we did lay out, I think they met the mark. And I think it's sort of like late in the game to say like, hey, like we will start over again. I think we gave them the assignment, they did the work, they did extremely well. I think we move forward.
Okay, Mrs. Jones and Mrs.
I think we should go back to the drawing board. This does not depict the West Tampa accident. No way. And these women, who are these women? They're not depicting anybody that look like me. Well, they are in a certain way, but not to the point. I mean, we had doctor offices around here, doctors, and different things like this. This is just depicting the cigar industry. That's how I feel about that. And the second one also. And the drum majors, that's not depicting anything around Blake High School and our culture of drum majors. To me, I'm not saying that it's got to be all one thing, but when you look at it, it was just Blake. It was Blake and Milton, and it was Blake that was depicting this neighborhood. And that's not the colors. We don't have colors because it had something like a B on there saying it was Blake, a decent colors. It looks more like cartoon.
We aren't allowed to have any text, letters, or recognizable faces. So that's why if you see the faces are possibly more generic looking, those are opt-out regulations.
If we could have did something with the uniform, then I could have looked at this and said, oh, that looks like something from Blake High School back in the day. It doesn't to me. I'm sorry to be negative. This is not West Tampa. I grew up here. And I'm 66 years old, and this is where I've been all my life. Okay, I'll stop talking, and I don't know where this indigenous thing comes from.
Mrs.
I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
Are all the design venues, or is it one being chosen out of these?
No, all those are the final designs. So we had originally 9 locations. Recently, because of Main Street and Albany, that box is slated to be removed. So we did select 9 artists at first. We dropped the lowest scoring artist. The art selection committee originally chose 24 artists based on their work samples. Those work samples were then scored by the committee. And then we had them design, I gave them the themes that were presented to the CAC, and then CAC members had also presented ideas through Brenda and to me that I included with them. Sandy and me met privately after the first art selection. She gave more input on the themes. I presented that all to the artists. In any public art project, the themes are just guidelines. Like, we can't say exactly what to draw or create. that's kind of a different project altogether. That's more of a graphic design and consultation project. So part of our projects are going to be a little bit more open-ended, and that is like, you know, to say that they did fit all the themes based on what the themes were and based on FDOT guidelines. I do want to say that, but I do understand that, like, it's not everyone's vision that how, you know, I think that's like kind of the.
I mean, I like the designs. I think that, you know, maybe it could be tweaked, but at the same time, we have to move forward. I mean, just keep going backward.
And this isn't a permanent thing. If, you know, years down the road, if it's, you know.
Well, this moving forward, make it all. Anyone else like chime in? Okay, I'm gonna chime in. Here's what I look at, okay? Here's what I look at. We've been dealing with this for 3 years, pushing around by wrapping a box. That horsing around, here, there, not gonna happen, when it's gonna happen. Okay, my first question is there any other boxes in the CRA of West Tampa that could be wrapped in the future? Yes or no?
No, right now, those are all the city-owned boxes. We can work with county and FDOT on the other boxes at a later time, but for this project, all the city boxes were wrapped.
Okay, so this is a city thing, but we can ask FDOT and the county, can we wrap their boxes, correct?
Yes.
Have they done that in the past?
In other, you know, other counties, the county has allowed it. I know right now that there's some county boxes, might be FDOT boxes being wrapped on like Tail Mabry and stuff, so like, I don't think it's out.
So what would it take for us to inquire, for you to start looking at other boxes to be wrapped?
I can start looking into that and see, try to get some contacts in the county and FDOT and see about other boxes as well.
Well, FDOT should be very, very helpful with us. Okay, my man, Mr. Green is gone, we got a new guy there, but they should be very helpful with us, because they got an issue with the underpass that they never did correctly. Okay, and when they started getting that straightened out, that's still an issue that they gotta deal with, underpasses where they cross over Willow. Okay, or, over there, they cross over, there's supposed to be some specialty done under their lighting and stuff, and it's all right, there's some stuff on. Here's where I'm at with it. I don't have a problem with none of these things on here. I think that they all represent what they say they represent. You know, even the business people, that's the Indian lady from over there, from your ladies, okay? So I've been in West Tampa around here a lot. I remember when they didn't let black people walk across to go to that park, or Ray Park. I'm gonna get these started with that I from 1962. Before the riots, before Civil Rights Act of 1964. And couldn't go to that park. And go home. I went to the boys club. What you doing here, boy? Get out of here. So let me get me started what I know about West Tampa. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So I think that this is a good sample. This is a good depiction. I'm ready to move forward. If y'all ready to move forward, it's already a process that went this way. I'm not about starting all this over again. I'm about looking for other opportunities, such as if it ain't boxes, maybe it's walls, maybe it's other locations that we have coming up. Maybe it's over at Rome Yard and some of those facilities. Maybe we talk to West River about doing something on their facilities. Okay, maybe we talk about other private business owners that may want a mural put on their. Boy, Marty might have a mural put on the whole building, done free. Okay, before the Super Bowl. So, you know, we can find other places to display what we want. But this here thing I went, and I do not believe we need to kill it. I think we need to move forward with what we got. I think that they got it close. They have the democratic process, maybe the deck was stacked, but that's the way it goes. And they voted, right?
Twice.
It was a unanimous decision on what they picked, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, next time maybe we might need to stack the deck with some more people on it, but that's just the way it goes. So I don't see.
And this is the process we will be.
I understand, and then there's also this issue of FDOT won't let you put a name. They won't let you put that. You can't have this here. There's some other restrictions that we would want to have it more personalized, more individualized, but that ain't gonna happen. And I think we've gone too far. It's only $35,000. That would just approve $1 million for some restriction. I don't think that is a waste. My question is what about the streetscape? Do we have any kind of, is that a FDOT control thing too?
What?
The ground rules.
Oh, the ground murals, that's all, those are city roads, so those are also controlled by mobility, so those have been those are all set. But with that,
Those been picked?
the finalists, the artists have been selected, the 3 finalists, but the designs haven't been presented yet.
So can you tell them to take in consideration what we said tonight about what we didn't like about the so-called final designs on the wraparound?
Yep, and for the ground murals.
Is there a committee for that too?
Yes, Cynthia's on the committee, she's been very helpful, we've done 1 round so far.
So, okay, well, let me just get some case. Ms. Brennan, do we have to approve this? It's already been done, right? There's no
This one
requirement.
is an update.
There's no
It's
requirement
really
for the CRA, CAC to approve anything. This thing has been done, and the decision is now in the hands of the city. Just like when we do the part, it's in the hands of them, they design it. And so we just basically look at it, we grab it now, but it ain't what we want. And I see what you're saying, but at the same time, we need to get this thing done. And you'll probably find out once you get up there, people really like it. They may not be the people that's been in West Tampa all their life. It might be all the new people coming.
Think about this too, most people are gonna see it driving by, so they're gonna see a lot more colors than they are gonna see walkability. It's not really like, because of the genericness of FDOT's requirements of no recognizable faces, it's very hard to put historical content without text, dates, faces, you know? So most people will be driving past these, you know, and they will be not gray boxes with graffiti or wheat pasting on them. They will be a colorful landscape.
So if somebody's doing graffiti, and what happens? Y'all got some kind of protective seal on it?
It actually has
anti-graffiti
the
color?
vendors required to put an anti-graffiti film on it, so it should just wash off. If not, we can always like look into like reprinting and. If
And what about the UV?
It also has a UV. The vinyl is made with a UV. The anti-graffitis also has another UV
And
coating.
then how long do you expect these to last?
At least 7 years.
Okay, so after 7 years, we can change them.
You can change them after 1 year if you really want to, but I mean, they should last.
All right. Any other discussions on this? Mrs. Williams?
I just want to say this, and I hope I say it right, so nobody's personally offended. But when I look, for example, and I have a mixed opinion, some of these I like, some of these I don't. But when I look at the I think what it is the features don't necessarily reflect what is here in West Tampa for some people. So my question or suggestion to you in the future, maybe you already do this, is when you have a project like this for a certain area, do you give a little bit of history
We did.
of the area? Because this is telling me that, you know, I don't know how to say it without offending people, which is not my intention.
No,
But
that's
it's
okay.
so Eurocentric, the faces, the features. I don't see West Tampa. I see a part of West Tampa maybe, you know?
Yeah.
But not, I don't see the whole full range. And I think about little children, really, honestly, who might see these things. How do they see themselves in that? When I look at this, you know, other than maybe, you know, playing an instrument or something, but I think there's a greater sensitivity that's needed when these murals are being done. And maybe next time you should bring the 2 suggestions or the 2 renditions to us, just for review. We don't have to vote on it, but at least let us take a look and see, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot here and it's beautiful, but to me, there's also something missing, and I think that's what really bothers me. There's something missing. It's beautiful, but it's lacking.
Well, I do hear what you're saying, and I understand that.
Is there a reason why they picked the blank colors?
I don't know. That was just like the artist, like certain artists, because the artist was selected off the work samples, so the artist colored out was kind of brighter, and he already had a lot of samples of other boxes he did with the music theme, so I think that that's why he was chosen by the committee. Based on that, we can't really put anything like out there like, you have to use these colors, you have to use this certain thing. Like Sandy provided a lot of great, we had a separate meeting to add on to the themes, you know, that all that information was provided to the artists. And after that, it's kind of like, and the artists were also required to do their own history as well, whether or not, I can't force them to do that either, so.
Can I just say one last thing? Okay. At that first meeting, when we went over the themes, I gave a lot of detail. For example, with the women of West Tampa, I suggested that they put the Fortune Street Bridge in the background, represent Madam Fortune. Fairfield Hospital could have been in the background. We even talked about the nuns of St. Joseph and having a small replica of them to get a better idea. When we talked about architecture, I went into detail about that. When we talked everything that we talked about, I gave more detail. The other thing is I was the only one representing West Tampa. The other two were art critics, or people who have to do with the art world. You need to make sure that West Tampa is represented next time you do an art project. That's the main thing that I want you to know. I tried to get them to understand, but it wasn't a question of them understanding, it's a question of Corey relaying those details to the artist. And the other thing is, if the problem is that they have too short a time to send in their samples, then give them more time. Instead of 3 weeks, give them 6 weeks to come out with a design. Don't put the pressure on the artist, but give them the information and let them work with it.
There was a community member who's also a resident and a business owner on that panel too, representing West Tampa. It wasn't.
No, let's stop you right there. Because I'm saying this is over with. Here's going forward, I believe, okay, so we did this, let's move on. But going forward on art, because this ain't the last art we've been doing, because I know there's other stuff out there that's been clicked. This committee, is it set up by ordinance?
It's a CAC member.
No, I didn't ask you that.
Oh, sorry.
I said, how is this committee set up? Is it set up by city ordinance? Is there a policy?
I'm following the arts department's guidelines on how they also procure public art in the best.
Then do they have a written policy that says this is how we have an art committee selected? This is the representative going. Do they have such a document?
Yes, I believe it's on.
Send it to me. Ms. Brenda, will you send me, get me the document that says how a committee that will select art for CRA or for area, West Tampa, who can be on the committee and how that committee is selected? And whether or not, since we are the funder of it, that we can say that we want certain numbers on it. So please find that, and if it don't exist, Mr. Court, I'm well known to change ordinances, change policies and procedures for the city of Tampa. So I think that's the gist. So, because, I don't want to sit there and relate this, but, the first thing, if I want to hit your head, I say, how many African-American artists was on this? You're taking too long.
I don't really know because we don't see photos of them. We only see
I said, so that's a problem.
I know through the artist, so I would say.
Well, how many of them are minority businesses?
Excuse me?
How many were minority businesses?
Well, none of them are businesses.
Well, if you provide art, you're a business.
I guess
You operate without a license or a permit in the city of Tampa. Don't get me started. So what I'm saying is this is the kind of thing that I eat for lunch. So, Mrs. Brenda, will you please get me how, I want, how do they select the committee? Who can be on the committee? Even this committee got rules on how we can sit on it. You got to be a resident, you got to be this and that. So bring me the art, because this is what, I just not heard this over here for us. This is being on other stuff in the city, on the east side. There's other issues about art. Even when we're doing the trail, what that thing called, the soul walk, that got issues. So what I'm saying is, would you just please, I'm gonna stop talking because I'm going to find. But let's just, would you, make a questions, Brenda, to give me the guidelines, the rules, the policy or ordinances from whoever selects and put together art committees, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it and then make some recommendations going forward. Thank you very much, Mr. Crowe. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Moving right along.
Chair Province, I have one request. We
Okay, here we go.
And it's really, we need a 5-minute break, maybe a 4-minute break. We need to switch out cord because we're about to lose our recording. So it's a good time because we have the
Which
grant
one is
team.
next? So we
The
still
grant
stick with
team, I believe
commercial?
is here, right?
Okay,
Yeah, great,
and
okay, so it'll give us time to
two?
get them set up.
Okay.
So just I'm sorry, 5-minute break.
5-minute break. So, okay, 5 minutes to 6. Time is about 6:33, so we'll start back with.
How to do all that. Right.
No, we need.
That's a secret down there. Okay, that's a
Is this working this Oh, you're doing the All right. All right, so you can stand anywhere. And you've got the
I'm going out for it. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and she'll
Just give me like
They're back to cigar box. Or the cigar stand. Beautiful. Sort of, very detailed. I know yes, I agree.
well, I mean, how did they No, I'm worried. I mean, look at I just said it wrong. Glitter cuts.
Are we ready to I'm sorry.
So, get out of there.
All right. Okay, y'all, go ready. And then you need to choose. We're good. We're discussing Jeanette County.
We move into.
We're going into the grants. Update.
Okay, committee, we're gonna move now, move back in order. We still have a quorum, Mrs.
We do.
Okay, so we got.
We good.
We good on the Zoom up there?
Yep.
Okay, we good on the recording?
Because you're gonna get the money.
Good on the recording.
Okay, we're gonna now start, on the presentation, the
Yeah, just
Saturday
sit
House
right there.
update. No, I'm sorry.
And then when we get to that.
Commercial grant policy update, the CRA grant scheme, if you would, please introduce yourself to the CRA super team and come up front. You need more mics, you got another mic. Come on up front, y'all a team, right? Come on up. Come on up, come on down. Come on down. Introduce your team. Introduce your team and, we'll go from there. Okay? Okay, are you ready, Mr. President?
Yes, we are ready.
All right, good evening. We are your commercial grants division. I am Dee Reed, the Economic Development Coordinator, and these lovely ladies with me are Celeste, Tiffany, and Andrea. They are your Economic Development Specialists. Thank you for allowing us to come this evening and present to you. We have allotted 20 minutes at the end of the presentation to answer whatever questions you have. We do ask if you can jot them down as you think of them so that you don't forget them. If you think you want us to go back to a slide, feel free to jot down the slide number and we'll scroll back to that slide if you need to. Okay. All right, we will jump right in. So following the approval of the current grants policy, this team alone has conducted over 75 pre-application meetings. That's not even half of the inquiries. We don't even count the inquiries in that number. And so by inquiries, we're referring to just calls, requests, inquiries about what the grants are, how they work, how do I find out if I'm eligible, what areas, things like that, to that nature. We don't count those unless they actually come in and schedule a pre-application meeting. So that 75 are people that we've actually sat down and discussed a specific project with. So as we've been having those various discussions, we've identified various areas in which we feel that the project or the policy has areas for improvements. So some of those areas include elements that may not have been outlined clearly, guidelines not quite accomplishing the board's intent, terminology not specifying how it will be applied, and initiatives not having as great an impact as expected. So we've gone back and we're proposing revisions to address those deficiencies. So I'm going to turn it over to Celeste to start introducing some of those proposed revisions.
So here are some proposed revisions that are consistent with board directives. Special project and non-city funding requests will be limited to $1 million and city funding requests to $5 million. Guidelines and limits are also proposed for city funding requests. Any expenditure over $1 million will be reserved for CRA-initiated projects and must follow the city's procurement process. We're proposing to establish parameters for allocating a portion of the special project grant / funding grant award funds to soft costs like architectural and design fees and specifying them as reimbursement only. We're also proposing to offer tax-exempt properties access to exterior grant reimbursement opportunities. So unfortunately, due to the city's ethics policy, CAC members will not be eligible for special grant funding, but they may still apply for our standard grants. We're proposing to remove the limit on legacy credit based on the owner's TIP contribution per property and define how often a property can receive legacy credit.
Additional proposed updates to the commercial grant policy. Application submission. Language to allow special project and funding request applicants to apply for and obtain permits following their pre-application meeting prior to receiving the award letter or executed grant/funding agreement. This will allow special funding request applicants to apply for permits after they require pre-application meetings, but before receiving an award letter or signing a grant agreement. Award notification. Revising the tier fund to combine levels 1 and 2, requiring grant agreement and restricted covenants for all awards, reclassifying the top funding category as level 3, reassigning it to CRA initiated projects, and outlining the process. This will be revising tier funding by merging level 1 and 2 into one new level, remaining top tier as level 3, updating the processes for CRA-initiated projects, and finally requiring agreement and restricted covenant for all grants. Appeals. Adding language to specify the process for appealing staff's award decision and specifying the basis options for which appeals may be requested. The policy updates will outline the appeal process for staff award decisions and define valid reasons for the appeals. Residential grants. Adding the newly approved residential grant process to the policy. The updated grant policy will include the new residential grant processes to include the award process, AMI limits, the application steps, and more. For additional information, you can contact the housing team.
So some of the proposed changes are simply clarifications of our existing internal policies that appear to be a potential confusion point for some of our applicants, such as defining our intended meaning for commercial use and mixed use, consistent with definitions already established in the city's zoning code, universally applying the prohibition to reimburse for sweat equity or to contractors with a familial or financial relationship to the owner of the applicant, and specifying that property owner's attendance is required for all pre-application meetings. We've also added specific language to allow monthly progress payments and define the initial deposit amounts for those applicants using the direct contractor payments process. And some of the recommended changes apply only to specific grants, such as for the pre-development grant. We're changing the structure to a consolidated scope of service, establishing a timeline to start construction of a design project, requiring repayment for designs ultimately never constructed, updating professional services contracting structure, and providing additional scoring opportunities to qualify for the grant. For the exterior grant, amendments include adding art installations such as murals to the eligible improvements and updating the scoring matrix with additional bonus point opportunities. There were 5 items related to existing requirements in the policy where we asked the CRA board at their June meeting to clarify their intent to make sure we were applying the policy in the spirit intended by the board. The direction provided by the board, which will be incorporated in the proposed changes, was to limit the architectural and historic preservation staff feedback for buildings 50 years and older that are not already subject to historic review under the city code to only a recommendation for restoration or reconstruction. Revising the interior grant to limit eligible improvements to those required to bring the building into, or the structure into building code compliance, such as upgrading their fire, electrical, plumbing, structural stabilization, and ADA accessibility. Removing the eligibility restriction on restaurants based on their allowed revenue from alcohol sales. Not to expand the listed ineligible alcohol-focused establishments, leaving the restriction in place for just bars, lounges, and nightclubs. And requiring full repayment of the grant amount for projects that transfer ownership to a tax-exempt entity or default during the first 5 years of restricted covenants.
This is a recap of the changes and how they impact specific grants. Revising reimbursable improvements. Adding art as a reimbursable expense to the exterior grant. And there are proposed changes to what will be reimbursable for the interior grant. Adding language referring to the definition of commercial and mixed use in the policy. The definitions are added to the interior and exterior grant to specify the meaning of each word. Adding additional point opportunities to the application scoring criteria. Additional points are added to the scorecard for the exterior, interior, and the pre-development grants. Adding language referencing the appeals process outlined in the policy. The steps to appeal a decision will be outlined for the exterior and interior grants. Restructured grant, added construction timeline, and incorporated payment terms. It is proposed that the pre-development level 1 and level 2 be consolidated as one, and it will outline or incorporate the timeline and payment terms.
This table details the proposed revisions made to special projects and funding requests. For requests less than $500,000, they will fall into the special projects category. Requests over $500,000 and all city requests will be funding requests. We're proposing to establish a maximum award percentage to contribute towards overall project costs. For the fourth revision, we're proposing to establish parameters for allocating a portion of the award for soft costs and specifying them as reimbursement only. These costs may include architectural design and engineering fees, permit fees, and site remediation and stabilization. We've proposed to revise the required waiting period to apply for another grant for special projects. And lastly, we're proposing revisions that would allow for special project and funding request applicants to apply for permits after the successful completion of pre-application meetings to obtain application required estimates for the proposed improvements. However, work will still not be commenced prior to receiving an award letter or executed grant/funding agreement. This proposed revision will be for both special projects and funding requests. That concludes the proposed update portion of our presentation. We want to remind you that if you are interested in initiating the application process or simply have questions or want more information on the grants, please visit the website shown here on this screen. The request for consultation button you see here is where you click to submit an inquiry, and one of us staff members will get in touch with you.
So we will have, so that's the add 20, oh, Chris is gonna, so Chris is gonna add 20 minutes on the timer for us, and we will answer your questions. We will ask if you can keep the questions to the policy update. If you have any project-specific questions, anything specific to properties, or if you want to dive more, have questions specific to a grant, feel free to reach out to us and we will speak with you and try to answer any of those questions. But we are here to answer any of your questions regarding the update.
Okay. Is there any committee members have any questions? Ms. LaRussa and then Mrs. Williams. And
I was just
realize that we got 20 minutes for everybody up there, so be aware of that.
I was just wondering on the revision to exclude the breweries. I mean, I'm assuming that all of these revisions are to address problems that have been encountered along the way, or I'm just thinking 2106 Main, the Bay Canyon was one of our beloved projects, and that I guess could not be done today under this new revision. What's behind that?
No, actually the board voted to not add that to the list, so that would be eligible.
Oh, I thought it said.
That was on the slide, it was saying those were items that we were asking the board to give us direction so that we knew how they wanted us to apply that. So they since the presentation was drafted, we had the meeting on, was it the 12th? Mm-hmm. It was on the 12th. The board meeting on the 12th is where they voted. And so now, what was on the board, that's the presentation that we've been doing with all of the CACs. So we didn't want to go and give a presentation to CAC that we didn't present to others. But the information that she was explaining is that the board has since made a vote and they voted not to add those. We do apologize for that.
Sorry, okay. So now breweries are included?
Breweries are allowed, yes.
Okay.
The only thing that's still ineligible are the bars, lounges, and nightclubs.
Right, I caught that, okay.
So liquor stores,
hold on, Roger. We don't have to jump around.
No, I'm just reading.
Are you done, Mrs. Fenton?
I believe so.
Can I clarify one other thing for her?
Yes, ma'am.
So they voted to not add those other items, and they also voted to remove restaurants that derive more than 50% of their income. So they are now eligible, where before they were not eligible.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Wilson.
No, I was saying, like, I'm reading that they're opposed to adding liquor stores, beer and wine stores. So are they eligible or ineligible?
They are now eligible.
Okay.
Yes.
That was the question we were asking for.
But like, we were talking about breweries, but then like, you didn't really talk about liquor stores and bars and wine.
Yes, that whole line where it says adding liquor stores, beer, wine stores, and breweries, the question posed to the board was, do you want these added? And they voted not to add those.
No, that sounds good.
Not to add them as an eligible.
Yeah, I would.
It's a negative.
I know.
Okay, all right.
It's not, I think I get what you're,
I would think it one looks toward eligible, but.
because of the, yeah, that's why we asked the question, but.
All right, so, you done? Plot two, okay. Mrs. Williams.
Are you gonna be giving us the little packet you have there in your hand? Because I'd love to have a copy of mine.
Well, let me straighten that. Mrs. Thrower, we would request, I'm chair's requesting that you give us the updated final, not the standard that they gave to everybody, but the final decisions that were made presentation. Because normally we don't even entertain unless we have a piece of paper in our hand, a presentation. Because our rules require the presentation, when one is made, that we need to have a digital copy we put on our website. And we also must have a paper copy for the committee. That's why I was up taking pictures. Okay, because there's a lot to follow, and real quick. Okay, I understand we're on the time, but we're asking you, Mr. Roy, to one, give us the presentation they made as it was, and then two, give us the presentation that actually was been approved by, I don't know if the board approved it. I watched the meeting, I don't remember approval. I remember discussion. And these are, once again, guidelines. Okay, this ain't no policy change. These are guidelines, and I explained that if you watched the meeting Thursday, because I was there. That a guideline is just recommendation to staff expressibility. As you can see, people, we've been talking about this. I'm gonna be quiet because we got 20 minutes. Mr. Go ahead.
Made me forget what I was going to ask.
So we got that there.
Wait a minute, just a second. Thank you. Secondly, how are you increasing the selection of applicant pool? How are you doing that? How are you making people in the West Tampa area know what you have to offer them as small businesses or business owners? How are you getting that information out to West Tampa businesses?
So I can tell you what we have plans to do. I can't give you right now. As you can see, we have a new staff. We actually have one of our new employees is out sick. Right now we are in the process of training our new staff. We were planning to do a boot camp in which we were going to come around to all of 4 boot camps, and they were going to be centrally placed between 2 different districts. And then at those, we're going to do the first morning half where we're going to go and detail the policy and each of the grants. And then the second half, we will do on-site pre-application meetings. We did have to delay that because we needed to get the new staff trained. So once we get staff fully trained, we will be doing the boot camp. We're also planning to put together some small video clips where we kind of drop like tidbits, and we'll post that on the website where people can go back and listen to that information. You're welcome.
Anyone else on that side? Anybody on this side? Watch out. How much time we got left?
Can they go in here? Can their information go in the quarterly newsletter?
So I was going to mention that the quarterly newsletter, the first article there talks about the grants program. Actually, it's very centric to West Tampa. This is the newsletter that's going to promote all of Tampa CRA and have spotlights on it.
But it has that.
But yes, we can give information there.
The cure code, you hit that, and it'll take you the way you need to go.
Right, and that will be on the website too.
Okay.
The cure code. Anything else on that side? I'll come back on this side.
We have a grant that's on there though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 million grant.
Ms. Maloney?
Yeah, I just had a question about the historic preservation guidelines. Because I called in once and I was told that the building had to be 75 years old to qualify, someone in the building department or zoning or
Not true.
planning. So that doesn't comply with national standards, and I don't, what are the actual requirements for applying for a grant for improvements to a historic structure?
So from the grant perspective, the only change we have as far as additional requirement to qualify for our grants over what the city already has in place for historic buildings and landmark districts and landmarks and historic districts is that if you're bringing a project into us that the property is not yet registered, or it is not a landmark, or it is not in the historic district, we're gonna ask historic preservation to review that project if it's over, the building on the property is over 50 years old, and give us their feedback as to whether that building should be renovated, or if it's okay for the applicant to tear it down and rebuild it. If it's worth saving, basically. So, but we'll make that decision, help them make that decision before they apply for a grant, so they know what they can apply for a grant for. So that's the only difference. Everything else is a normal city policy. We're not putting any additional requirements on somebody for historic preservation.
Yeah, and pretty much West Tampa, certain part of West Tampa Chicago is a historic district. We are in a historic district. We're in a national landmark building right now. And the way that they determine that is by looking at the sandboard maps. There is a map that shows the West Tampa National Historic District, and it's got little, I got a big pack, some of them, put it out, I have to, they show what structures are contributing, what structures are actually historical, and whether they're landmarks. Okay? We have not adopted a local historic district because of the burden that we put on poor people over here to start complying with the Secretary of Interior standards for historic structures. It would have bankrupt a lot of poor black people over here. We didn't want that. Okay, that's why we never had a local historic district. What we opted to do is have a overlay district that will cover some of the things about the flat roofs, low fronts, this, that, and all that, and typical design standards that would go with that. So we opted out because we didn't want to destroy it. This back there's a lot of wood frames with all the gentrification, two-story stuff. Anyone else before I chime up the last, I think we got 10 minutes, 5 minutes left? We're keeping that 20 minutes left.
10 minutes, sir.
Okay. All right, here's where I stand. Like I told the city, I may not love the city, but I'm also the person that researches the city. So what I've done, and I can tell you, I don't know if it's a conflict, but we're gonna find out. I took my properties. I've been sitting on my properties for decades. I've owned them for well over 20-something years. I mean, I've been renting houses now 12 years old. And I just refused to go after any project, or any program, until they came up with something. And so I've got a unique situation, and now that I've heard this, and then I had a rough end, but they wanted me to meet now, and I said, well, I want to see the application. I want to see stuff before I even, get to that point of sitting down, which is wasting your time. And I'm smart enough, professional, so I can read stuff, and I interpret stuff, and I have no definitions, and they ain't there with me in there. So, I have now thrown my real estate into this price store called commercial grants. And I've done that because, feds like to investigate stuff. They can't do it without some sample. So what I'm doing is I'm going through the process because all of that stuff you see that they want to change, people been bending my ear since this program was proposed last June or whatever it was. Bending my, we can't hardly get in there. You got to go do this. You can't get that. Well, what about that? And like I told the city council, this is a work in progress, people. This ain't happening overnight. It's gonna take a while. We're about a year and a half out to get this smoothed out because they deal with all these different neighborhoods, all this historical structure here, historical neighborhood over there, now over there in East Tampa, over there in Evo City, all down the Channel Side. You got all that mixed. And when they consolidated from the Bloomberg study to make all of this stuff be the same across all CRAs, this is what you get. So now we're going back and tweaking and fine tuning, and they're understaffed. They're just now getting staff on board. Just now getting them up to speed, and as they bring the staff on board, things are changing. It's a state of flux, as I told them. So I'm working with them. I'm using my process to, I'm gonna meet with them, I'm finna set up a meeting with them probably next month to go over what they say, to hear what they say in the document. But, we do need some document, we need some pictures of this stuff. We need some paper with all that they say, because it's hard to conceive, all that in a school in 20 minutes, question and answer. And then whatever change they made. Because I was there, but I don't remember every one of those. They just showed the matrix, which I've got, of some of the things, the problem, and then the solution. So I don't know if they went down, but I have yet to see that there's a policy change. Most of the stuff that we're looking at tonight, people are guided. That's for the staff to look at. And it's a subjective thing, it's a subjective. And now they have an appeal process. So let's just work with them, let them work it out. I'm glad they showed up, and I'm glad they presented it. And so I think we can go forward, with letting them work this out, but this is very complex, and there's a lot of money involved. A lot of money, and the money can't move, because one of the issues, and I'll shut up after this, one of the issues that the East Tampa people keep gapping back, although our approach of this is a little different, well, ain't nobody got $80,000 to put up front to do my house. I'm just in a wood frame, I don't have no income to do that. So I'm qualified, but I can't get the money, I can't get a line of credit to come up with the money to do it. So what I propose to them, and I'm gonna propose on mine as a sample, is that we do phasing. It's well known that when you do code enforcement review, you look at the roof, you look at the walls, you look at the foundation, and then you look at the utilities, mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems. So if you look at a house, mostly these are wood frames, there's 56% of Tampa's wood frames. If the first thing anybody needs on any structure, whether you do any interior, is a roof. So let's do a roof. It costs $20,000, $15,000, $30,000, whatever. Get that done, and then it gets approved. Then we come back and let's look at the foundation and the walls and the wood, stuff like that. Then we look at, get that done, get reimbursed, come back. So I look at phasing. It's the only way I see get poor people that are going through an area that's being gentrified with houses that somebody want to come in and buy from me and build one of these monstrous $500,000 deals is to help those. My concern is that there's a lot of wood frame houses in town, like right down the street, they walk around here, that really, people that ain't really reached out for this, they don't really know the ins and outs. You know, it's not that easy. You're not educated or you got the knowledge of doing your own building. You're sitting there with toilet falling out, floor, roof leaking, got pots up there and all this. So you're embarrassed to even come and ask for something. And so my thing is that I'm trying to use what I got going as a test to check it out. And then, you know, we may have some facts, but you know, it is what it is. But I think that on the long term, it'll provide clear guidance for staff who's always want to help. They have good intentions, but sometimes the bureaucracy and the system doesn't allow them to do what they can do. And sometimes it takes an external force to say, no, let's just do this a little different, let's do it different. So I want to thank y'all for number one, putting up with me. But number two, for being creative and listening to people when they say, well, we got an issue. And I want to thank Mr. Cedric back there being quiet, Mr. Cedric McCray, the man of it all, that he's moving forward with this. They were bold to come, and that's it. Anybody else have any questions? Then we're going on to the next item.
Before you go, I just want to let you all clarify, all of these items and the things that were voted on from the board in June, they will be going to the board in July as the policy update. And so once they vote, it'll be effective for starting October.
So right now, if somebody's going through the process, none of this applies.
If you applied before October, then you would fall under the current policy. To fall under the new policy, it would be, providing the board approves in July, it would be effective.
So that's the reason I had that sit down meeting to see if it's more advantageous to start the process now or after the improvements, after the changes.
We'll sit down with these.
Well, no, that, you know, everybody supposed to do the pre-meeting, okay, sit down, say this is what I want to do.
Oh, yes.
And then it's only gonna be what you can do now, versus, well, do I need to wait?
Oh, yeah.
Until the new one, and will that be more advantageous for me than sitting down now, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have that meeting with y'all. Okay, so I just wanna thank y'all. I just really do that you're pushing forward, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, let's just keep pushing forward, because people, we have to fund this. You know, we got money in commercial rents, like I told them, we have more affordable housing in West Tampa than any part of the city. With all that river, West River, all that stuff on Cypress and all this other stuff going on, we have a large amount of affordable housing, regardless of, even if some people talking about it been down to the 30 areas. Yeah, because I haven't seen the numbers for all that stuff they're doing in West River, on what they're doing. So I just want to thank y'all. And y'all have a tough job. Hopefully you get your staff, you know, more, whatever you need, let us know if we need to get something to it. And let's move on. And let us know the funding stuff. We've already did our budget. So we already got you in there. But it's just that, all I'm gonna say is this, people want to see something. They hear about all this thing here, but they want to see something like these people feeling lucky. They should feel lucky, they should feel good. But anyway, that's all I got to say. Let's move on. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along, Mrs. Thor. All right, Mrs. B. Parks. Mrs. B. Parks, Community Development Coordinator, Saturday Housing Update. And I think she got Albany and then a new affordable unit creation program.
Yes, thank you, E-Parks. Okay, so I wanted to provide an update from the last meeting about the Blue House, okay? So, you guys did receive a memo in your packet that gave 3 options, okay? So, I'll start off, I'm fully transparent, no, I don't have the cost, but I have options and then we can find out what the costs are based off of that, okay? So, option 1, if you guys will choose to move forward with the purchase, we have the option of renovating the existing structure that has 2 units. So that has 2 units in that house right now currently. And of course, Bryce wrote this, so allowable under current zoning. So this is the most feasible, okay? So this route, I can include this house and the spruce house and a invitation to bid once I have that information for that one spruce house we have to finish the repairs and put it out in the market for the end user for affordable housing. So that's the plan for option 1. Now option 2, the mixed use development, the one that everyone is excited about or was expressing interest. This is the ground floor commercial and the 1 unit on top based off of what can be used with the land. So this will require a PD. So we will have to go through that PD. Right now, Bryce is it's like about 6 months time frame to go through that, so it's not an immediate project right now, but we'll put it in the hopper for that. And then, you know, a good example of that he put in the memo, which is the Pete's Bagel example in Ybor, that they have the shop underneath and then the residential unit on top. So it can only allow 1 residential based off of option 2. So then if you want to fully make it into commercial development, again, it also needs a PD, which as you know, needs to be approved from city council. And then, okay, right now the lot does not meet minimum requirements for the commercial zoning. And then again, 6 months time frame, and you just roughly put some application fees in those 3 options for you. So those are the 3 options based off of the house right now. So you guys were asking for just a little bit more background. As I mentioned, I don't have the cost for the 3 examples, but we can move forward with having at least an idea of what the CAC recommends for us to move forward, and then we can kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But that's just for that Blue House. Any questions?
Okay, let's see. Okay, Ms. Maloney had a hand up first, then Ms. Williams. Okay, and then Ms. Williams. Ms. Maloney.
Thank you.
You got a mic over there?
Thank you.
So, Heidi, I'm just, okay, so Pete, I have several questions. One, how does it work for, I think one thing that is missing more than anything else in Tampa is public space. There's no space for people to get together. I mean, there is, but it's good. We're getting the park, you know, it's gonna have a new field house, that'll be great. But the 2nd floor unit at this, assuming that we went with the commercial development on the ground floor, the 2nd floor unit, would that have to be ADA compliant? If it were a public space, if it were commercial? And also, how does the Pete's Donut or Bagel Shop, how does that work? How are the people that live above the bagel shop feeling about living above bagel shop, and how does the bagel shop interact with the people upstairs? Well, I don't know the details on how they feel about living upstairs, so I can't answer that question.
I'm just saying, were there any problems that occurred there that were brought to anyone's attention?
Not to my attention. I've seen this motto multiple times, primarily in Orlando, but primarily up north, where we have this style that you have your store and then you have a unit upstairs. This is a common thing.
Yeah, it's different if you own the
but-
building and you own the
yes,
business and you
yes,
live upstairs.
yes.
I'm saying a separate.
Yes, so in this case, I will recommend, in the RFP that goes out for this type of development, for them to specify how they will, it will play a role in it, because we have to income qualify that person. In order for my dollars to go in here, I have to make this an affordable unit, so it can't be a market rate rental. It will have to be under. So I will put the restrictions of, us being still a relationship with that renter, because it could be separate from that business. Or that business can come in with an idea that they will also have to live upstairs. So it can be multiple things. I don't have the answer on how they will work together, but they work together outside of Tampa that I know of. So I don't know how they can, either in the RFP, we can specify and restrict it to the income, and that they have to contact us to qualify that renter for that unit. And also put a filler out there on what the commercial space will want to be, because we don't know what we will want until we go and do some type of public meeting for it to get some feedback, and then put all that information into that request for proposal that then goes out for a developer.
Hours of operation, things like that.
Yes.
Could affect the capability of the apartment upstairs.
Correct.
So there's that. And then the ADA issue.
Yeah.
If it were fully commercial, would the second floor have to be ADA compliant?
I don't think so, but I can find out. I don't think that it does have to be. I think the commercial part will have to have the ADA component, but I don't think that unit upstairs will need that. That's for option 2 she was talking about, just in case. Any other questions?
Hold on. Ms. Maloney, you done?
I'm done.
All right, then it was Ms. Williams, and then.
Jeanette next.
Was it Jeanette?
No, it was her and Jeanette.
Okay, Ms. Williams, and then Jeanette.
I was under the impression that we would be getting back to us what the costs to renovate.
Yeah, I just said that we gave you options based off of the information we have, we don't have the cost. Because it can be different things.
Right, well, is the West Tampa, Community Advisory Committee Board going to incur the expense to fix up this place?
Yeah,
If we purchase it?
Yeah, they'll come out of our.
So don't you think it's only right then for us to find out what those costs are before we make a final decision on it?
Well, can I answer? So it's just options today. Current use, like I mentioned, currently how it is, I could put it out as an invitation to bid with a scope for them to rehab it for affordable housing. Again, just like I started, I don't have the cost. I can get more cost, but that will be just hypothetical. You can't hold me to it because cost to it, labor and material for it does have it to play a factor. I brought in some options, and then just based off of those options, then we can find out the cost. I know that in the budget, we do have some areas that we can look at to make sure that we can carry this out, and you guys can go ahead and look at that, because again, this is commercial, which commercial money can come into play, and then my money for the affordable unit can come into play. So I don't have an answer for you this week.
Okay, I don't know what decision is going to be made today, but I can tell you right now, I don't feel comfortable voting on something like this.
Not by yourself.
Okay.
You're not alone.
Secondly, I don't know if you're involved in this. Thank you. Do you have an update on 1940 West Spruce Street?
That was the one I was just referencing, that we could do as an invitation to bid out to the contract with GCs to finish the repairs, because all that is needed is for that to be inspected by the contractor and then go out to make those repairs on that house. So I was waiting on that property, and just like I was mentioning to Seth about the property, and to be acquired the lots next to it, to make it more of, okay, I can combine this in one RFP to go out to one developer to work on all of it, okay? So I can still do that to get the scope drawn up. I work with job ordering contract, which is the new type of system that we have in the city right now, that we have GCs that are under that contract that do these kind of walkthroughs. I actually use them for the rehab side, to go out and do a full scope of the property. So they'll do the external review and then the internal inspection and write up a scope. And then based off of that scope, I then upload it to get some bids for contractors to finish the repairs. And then at that time, some history of it, it was some dialogue with the CAC about some transitional housing. But, you know, my recommendation is home ownership. So I was just gonna put that into the home ownership pot and put it out to an end user to actually purchase that house, out of the community, through one of the housing council agencies that we work with. So that's the update for Spruce, and then that ties into the second presentation that I'm gonna be speaking about tonight.
Okay, the only thing I ask for future reference is that you give us updates. With all due respect, I know you're busy. I should not have to be asking you about 1940 West Spruce Street. You should be coming here with an update, even if there is no update. What is the status of 1940? Because you're talking about 1712 Albany Avenue. What's happening with 1940 West Spruce Street? All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, I believe it was Ms. Fenton next.
Thank you. I'm looking into the future and I want to understand, let's say we acquire the building, and whether it's for the mixed-use development or the all-commercial, the CRA is going to own this property.
No.
No. No. No.
Well, that's what I'm clarifying, because we're buying it.
Yes, so we'll own it now, and then it will go to the end user through a RFP.
So
we have to go
and that's what I'm trying to make sure. The RFP will not be solely for the work to renovate it. The RFP will also be for someone to acquire it and manage it and have it for the future. So it comes.
Let me get this see. Let's get this straight. The CR can't own no property. If we buy some property, it goes to city real estate.
Well,
the city owns it.
The city owns it.
And then they control it. We can't do nothing about it once it goes tied to them. Let's get that in the head. That's why the questions you're asking is prudent. But go ahead on with you. Now, I don't want to clarify. If we say buy, all we did was give some money to buy. We have lost control when that title go to the city of Tampa real estate department. Case in point.
That's why I'm
Spruce
asking.
Street.
That's why I'm asking the question. In other words, then does the city become the landlord? Not a good thing.
Can I answer?
Yes, please.
Okay, so everything that you want done to that property goes into the request for proposal. Everything. Design, bid, build, everything. The end user, the property management company, all of that goes into that RFP. When there's a developer who responds to the RFP, they're taking full responsibility, the ownership of that dwelling and the future uses of that property. That's all defined in the RFP.
Stop right there. I'm helping you out. So, we buy property, and then we tell staff we want to have an RFP, and this is what we want in the RFP. So it's not gonna come from y'all, it's gonna come from the committee?
No, it's gonna come from the, let me say the process. Okay, now that I'm on the spot.
You understand?
This is how it typically, this is how it's gonna go for the CRA. How, city is different, okay? Of course, you know, you have to go through purchasing to dispose and acquire all of our property, okay? What happens is, we're going to have a community meeting, a visioning session, where we're going to alert the community that we have this property in our ownership and that we're looking for ideas from the community. We'll post up different examples Bryce does that. He'll look at zoning, everything of different examples that could be built on that parcel. We'll then put that up for everyone to see. We do surveys to make sure that they understand what they're seeing, poster board, everything. We get them to answer these questions. Red dot, green dot, all of that. All of that information then comes in our possession, will be just off the feedback from the community. We then put it into a presentation that we then come back to the CAC to then community format, because it'll be public, everyone can come and see it. What is proposed, like based off of this, these are the options that we're hearing based off of what your feedback came out of. So then once we narrow down that we wanted to make it a mixed use, an affordable dwelling on top, a community coffee area on the bottom and all of that, we then put all of that detail into the RFP. That goes out to the community through Demand Star, through purchasing. So at that point in time, we're notifying all the people we know, hey, there's an RFP coming. You got developers on board, this is what it entails. It goes out to the Demand Star, that developer then responds. Even at that point, we have a pre-posal meeting. Every RFP has a pre-posal meeting where we, staff will be there, purchasing will be there, and all the developers who wish to bid on that project will be there. We answer all the questions. You're welcome to that meeting as well, where you can say, hey, I am a representative of the West Tampa CRA CAC. I want to see this in that blue house. I want to see this. They'll jot down all of that, and then they will then submit the proposal, which then comes to us to review. That's staff job. We review feasibility. We review to make sure that all of that presentation is put into that proposal. That's what I'm actually doing. 3 RFPs I'm writing for East Tampa is doing the same thing. The same process that we said, you guys will not be excluded out of that process, because that's exactly what we did for the East Tampa CAC.
So at some point though, we lose control even though we're the purchaser.
Right.
And
well, lose control to it goes to the developer, which we oversee, because we have to pay that developer.
I'm talking about to the city. I mean, there's a time lapse. We buy it, it goes to the city.
No, we can't hold title, there's a statute we turn, okay, so I'm trying to explain to you. She just explained very eloquently what we wanted to hear. Yes, we buy the property, but the city's sitting there as the holding the land. But as far as what happens with that property, she just explained real eloquent that we got control of that. We're gonna have these meetings. We're gonna have everybody say, well, what we want to do with that house on Spruce Street, what we want to do with this new house that we done purchased, and get all that, and she's gonna come back to this committee and then bid us out, and we gonna vote that up and down. And they're gonna send a RFP out for a design bid, for a builder, whichever way they can get through demand star procurement, then make that happen.
That's
Is that what I just heard? So no, we still have control, but we don't own the property, but statutorily we can't.
The city.
And I mean, currently right now, I'll be honest, it's a benefit that we had our former director is over real estate, because she understands what it means to keep inventory of our lots.
Yeah.
And to keep that pushing forward. So we have a good partnership right now with her sitting in that seat to make sure that our lots are accounted for. And I can guarantee that, because right now I'm currently doing this for multiple CAC. So I have to go back to her and say, hey, Michelle, we'll be on the Central Park. We'll be on the West. So this is what we're doing now. But at the end of everything, the winner of that bid is the person who's responsible for whatever end use that property turns into.
And can we can deed restrict for affordability on housing, I know that.
I cannot give away any of my money without a deed restriction of 50 years, minimum.
No, I know that on affordable housing. But what about the commercial side?
Commercial has a deed restriction as well.
So we can deed restrict it for commercial uses as to specifying what we want, don't want?
Yes, and that's also in the funding agreement that will be with the developer on what we want and we don't want to be done to the property.
This is Sanchez.
I don't think I don't think it's any different than the property that we bought on Cypress. We bought the property on Cypress, basically, it's up to do the same thing. We really, at the end of it, we really don't have that much to do with it. The question is, we're buying the property and we're giving it to the city. The question at the last meeting was, should we buy this property, yes or no? I said yes, no matter what, because the option that she's given here actually shows you that you have your choice of residential or commercial. So if we have those meetings and we decide, because it is in the commercial district, that we want to make it commercial, we can. Equal City, as far as the commercial on the bottom and the residential on top, all the new housing that's going on 7th, the commercial has got the residential on the top. So we have those options. So I'll go back to my original statement that no matter what, I think we should buy this property because something good is going to come of it in West Tampa, whether it's affordable housing or it's commercial. The property is going to be good in for the good of West Tampa.
Hold on. Anyone else on that side? Or we come back over here before I start chiming in? Let me chime in. If there's nobody else over here that wants to spoke. Okay. This is where I'm at with it, okay? I mean, I know real estate. Been doing since 12 years old. I know how the game played with the city. Listen, we've come a long way from buying property. Like, you know, we bought, it wasn't a park. Really, it's not a legal park. We bought property from Redmond. That wasn't a park. We're making it a park now. It wasn't a park. He called it a park, but it ain't a legal park. We're making it a park. For $180,000. And we said we wanted to be a park. Well, guess what? They looking at zoning it, getting land use change. I'm sorry. It's down, it's there. Yeah. For a park. So that's one acquisition we did. Now we've been we bought 1940 spruce. And you know, it's been sitting around a couple of years ago. Nobody's told us until tonight that I heard, and I've been around here listening to everything, that we really could have these community meetings, we can get input, and this is like news to my ears. Like, wow, I'm loving this. So let's just get Spruce Street. We ain't got to wait and try to acquire the 3 properties so they ain't for sale. Let's take out one house. But my question next is, okay, we got all that good news. Okay, I like that. My question is, is our intent to make a profit on this purchase? I don't think so. Is our intent, if it isn't to make a profit, what is our intent? Because see, we could spend on that blue house, in my estimate, up to $454,000 for it. It said that you need to stop and you got the mic, man, you got the authority. Okay. But this is good. I'm glad to hear what you're saying, is I never knew that this was possible. I'm gonna hold y'all to this. Okay, and essentially said, great. They just approved that 2 million, what it was, when we were reduction because it was brownfield, but we don't bought that. They approved that at the CRA last week. So now we gonna wanna see these sessions where they come to us and ask us what we think ought to be done with it. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm gonna hold on to that, especially to the point of ours is big. Now, Spruce Street, let me break it down, then I get the blue. Spruce Street, she said that she was looking and waiting around to try to acquire them 3 wants to get that. If we got a house and we come up with something we want to do it, let's do it. Because my thing is, I mean, do we really want, my only question about the logic here, do we want to spend $400,000 for a structure, another $200,000 to renovate it, to meet ADA and no ADA, come up with $600,000 so we can have one family in the house? Is that what we want to do?
No.
Okay, I'm just saying, that what we want to do? Is that our intent? To get that structure with 8 families, maybe 2 families, but several $100,000. When you can probably walk over here and buy a 4-bedroom, 3-bath for $500,000. Brand new, no renovation, brand new. So we're moving to getting older structures, buying them for a exorbitant rate, but some guy said, this is what I sell it to you for, and the city said we'll agree to it. And then an unknown cost to renovate it, because my question is, have we done a full, I asked the last time, have we done a full point inspection on that property? And I guarantee the answer is in whole. In my opinion, anything we buy going forward that's residential, we must have a full point inspection in front of us to make the decision, do we want to buy? Knowing that we ain't gonna have a cost estimate. We're not asking for an absolute cost. Engineers make order of magnitude estimates. Order of magnitude. Somebody, I can guarantee I can get a contract, say, well, Joe, let's walk around. And it's gonna be around about about $150,000, $200,000 we do that. You get an order of magnitude. So we want order of magnitude. We're not asking to be specific, but an order of magnitude doesn't bind you to anything. This gives an idea of that where we at. Are we in the $1 million cost of renovate a house we're paying $400,000? Is we're in the $100,000 area? It's an order of magnitude. So it's just that. It's not legally binding. It's just an idea to make a better decision with our taxpayers' money. That's all. Let me get that straight. So my thing is that Spruce Street, we don't need to be waiting on them 3 houses. They ain't selling. We can wait for the Main Street to sell. We moved on. So up there with most black. So we need to come up and start these things this week with that one house on Spruce Street. It'll be the first one we start with this new process out this first. But we're gonna have all this shit community. We're gonna post this out. And then, since we already own that, there ain't no question about ownership. The city already owns it, but we need to get our input that I didn't know we had. And if we had that input, and I know we'd have been done had that meeting scheduled, and asked for that this process to start. Okay, the other thing is, because as long as these property, when we buy them, here's the negativity. They're not on the tax rolls no more, people. That's the other thing. They're not on the tax rolls. When we buy a property in the city owns it, there ain't no taxes no more. And hopefully whatever taxes was owed on it when we bought it was paid by the owner, not by us with our money. So that's another thing, but we're gonna talk about that. So we start losing tax, incremental tax to come back to us, to the TIF funds, okay, when you take property off the roads. Now, but I am gonna be a stickler for a 4-point inspection on any property that, that's what they tell you about the roof, the electric, the plumbing, and the structure, that lets you know it's termited, and they'll have the pictures, so you can see electrical panels that still got fuses in it, and all that. Okay, because you got to do that, you can get insurance policy. And then, and my thing was, so it's not our intent to make a profit, it's our intent to reduce slum and blight. And we feel that reducing slum and blight is part of our community redevelopment plan, which is being updated, getting ready to be updated, that's one of the factors. So sometimes we're gonna spend more money than we think we should spend to get this thing done, or they're just a slum and blight axle. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Absolutely. And that's why, we exist. Because ain't nobody in their right mind that's a private developer probably don't even touch it until such time that we come up with some amenable things to do. So now my question is, there's 2 ways to look at this. We're not planning on owning anything. So when we sell it, my question is to the developer, unless we just give it in that and say you develop it with your money and now you own it, so we gave him something. My question is that, do we even consider that we're gonna sell it as opposed to saying use the value of it for it to be redeveloped so that we get our money back? But the city's not in the business of buying and selling houses either. They're in the business of getting the developer to develop it with the value that we paid to get the house. And a lot of times, if you do the investigation that the feds are looking at, is why do we buy houses that cost so much money and then we don't get nothing of the money back? In other words, we're sitting there having some developer develop something. And the only reason that we can justify is that it's in a slum and blight area, so therefore we can skirt the question. Okay? So my thing is that's why I'm real iffy about just buying anything. But right now, people, I agree with Mrs. Sanchez. And I said it last week, I agree that we need to get it. It's just my concern, what are we gonna do with it? Because you can always pick a wood frame up and move it on another lot. That's another option ain't on here. That option ain't on there, option 4. Relocate the house to another location where it would be in a residential area that is not close to that commercial area with this liquor store that I think I don't know if it was clear or not, but I certainly to be clear. Liquor stores or bars are eligible to get commercial grants now, or are they not eligible? I just didn't have that clear understanding from being, I almost say that because people saying, but this is real close to that liquor store. And Mr. Brazil, he's not on here anymore, but he said that in order to make Main Street work, we gotta have some additional income folks, so that have some expendable income.
There's a restaurant going across the street.
Yeah, that's on the front page. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that, Mr. Secretary, they say they can't loan money, that they can't, a commercial grant cannot be given to a bar or a lounge or a liquor store. Was that the case, or was this an accident?
Awesome.
So they cannot.
They can.
So now the Cotton Club is eligible for a commercial grant.
Besides, yes.
So the liquor store sitting at Domain is available for commercial grant, correct? I thought that's what I saw at city council, where they started explaining it wasn't, because they're using double negative. See, they say that it's eligible to be used, but when they say ineligible, that was a double negative that you have to think about it.
I think it's both would be ineligible, but then I think the discussion said like, no, we won't make them eligible.
Well, no, what I'm getting is you can now get a commercial grant at the Cotton Club, and any liquor store around here, including that liquor store, that we might want to get that liquor store that improve its looks. You go in some nice upscale high part neighborhood, liquor store look nice. Okay, so what I'm saying, so just be aware of that, folks, that the people have pushed for that, not really because of West Tampa, really that issue about liquor stores come from Eagle City. Okay? That's where it came from, but all the are the same. All right, so Ms. B, I like what I'm hearing. Okay. So I'm gonna shut up a little bit, but can we get 1940 Walls, Spruce Street? We ain't waiting to buy the rest. We don't wait a year. We'll get that started, because these people will see something, and then on this Blue House, I think we've already voted to buy it, if I recall.
Wow. You actually voted last month.
What did we vote on?
It says there was a motion, Sanchez and Wilson, to move forward to purchasing the property, accepting a friendly amendment from Ms. Fenton, asking staff to report back to the CAC on potential uses for the property prior to CRA board approval. So today was the
CRA board or CAC approval?
CRA board approval. So y'all are recommending, you agree to buy the property, but you wanted more information.
Okay,
Before.
so Mrs.
So I need a
record. What do you want to do? You put the caveat of the.
Yeah, no, we've come back, I mean, we have more information. I guess we have as much as we're gonna get.
But the beauty of what I heard tonight from Ms. B was that we really have an integral part in developing the actual RFP or whatever they're gonna use for procurement, because understand, that's another department, purchasing, that's gonna do all this. So we gotta make sure, Ms. Brenda, that we be involved with this. And I'll give y'all a case in point. Wrong guard. If y'all remember, the matter went out that he gonna do this with wrong guard. And I get a call from Channel 10 saying, what? And all y'all saying, what? They ain't asked us nothing in the CAC. And that's when I got Channel 10 to interview me. And we brought Bob McDonough, and he come into that meeting over there, Martin Luther King, and all of us said, hey man, you didn't ask us nothing about Florida behind, what we gonna do with Long John? Y'all talking about putting the statement and all this nonsense. And they said, well, killed it. Mayor backed off. And then we said, the new mayor come in, and she said, we ain't doing that no more. We're gonna have y'all at the table on the selection. So CAC, vote for somebody to get on this committee to make a selection of what we're gonna do with Long Guard in this RFP. And if y'all remember, that was when, what's the name, Vanessa McCary from Housing, came over to Martin Luther King, and we were ready to run. Y'all ready to ride about what we want. Everybody just, we want this, we want that. But run, and you a housing man. And we got it done, people. So this ain't no different, but I did not know that we had that much that we can, after this purchase on, that we still will get a bite at this apple is shaped. Now, give me the second, I can see you pushing the mic, but go ahead, man.
Yes, this is Rob.
so we can land this
Earlier to say, part of the reorganization we went through as an agency last year, we are required to do community engagement on purchases and plans, and that, so that we can solicit feedback from members of the CAC and the greater community. As Parks alluded to, a couple of parcels that have been purchased in East Tampa within the last year and a half, we've already had at least 1 or 2 community engagement sessions on those properties to solicit feedback, and now we're in the development of the RFP. But all of the feedback that we received from the community, from the CAC members, will be a part of that RFP before.
Okay, now see, my chair and the vice chair, now I pass this mic and make a motion. And the motion would be that we move to have community engagement at 1940 School Street. But I can't make a motion because I don't have a vice chair here to test the mic.
Can I, answer you on the 1940 Spruce?
Engagement, yes.
So that one, so just from my experience, that one is more residential. So that will be, that's solely residential. That's not zoned anything commercial.
All we want is community engagement and let the people say, yeah, it's residential and we need that, but what kind of residential we want? You know, how we want to dispose of it? How do we want to put it? So even if it's residential, we still can guide the residential. You know, that ain't one that we think is gonna be commercial, okay? I'm just saying, we need to start the community engagement, gets in senses.
I just have a quick question. On our budget, every year we get, was it what, 20 or 30% towards affordable housing? Okay. So that money, is that money available? Like if we purchase this property and we want to put it towards affordable housing, do we use that money?
Yes.
Yes, that's how many you use, the 30% set aside.
Yeah.
So we.
That's Miss Sanchez, you done?
Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. We gotta bring this thing in,
Yeah,
Mrs.
that's what I was, can we bring this to closure and move on? I think we've covered everything.
Okay, so y'all want to
We
move
have
this,
something?
there's no motion in the
Cynthia has something.
1940 Spruce Street, that we have to start the community engagement process.
Ms. Maloney, you have something to say?
I just wanted to say that obviously the best use to me for this property, this house on Albany, is a public use, a commercial use, and more importantly, maybe like a museum or community center for West Tampa.
Ms. Maloney, listen to me. Listen to me. We're moving forward with the purchase from what I understand.
But
Okay,
who's gonna hold it? Who's gonna end up owning it,
listen.
and what are they gonna do with it?
Listen, you're not listening. The lady just said that we're gonna have, without listening, there need to be a motion to say, let's start community engagement.
Yeah.
Okay? Listen to me now. You don't get that done at the city without a motion at the city advisory committee. Listen to me. Okay? So we had a motion, said that we want to start community engagement at 1940 School Street. Go that in. Then they got to get busy. Then we say, after the procurement is done for this blue house, whatever it is, that we want community engagement to start, that's another motion. Now, we done said this month, we ain't meeting next month, but down the road, that motion gonna be in the notes that we done asked for community engagement. We have never asked for community engagement on none of these property purchases, including Joe Redden Park. Listen to me. So what we heard tonight is that's the approach. We must make a motion and put it in the record, but I can't make that. If I can pass the mic, I would, because I'm not just
Like,
gonna
a motion that we have community involvement.
There's a engagement is called.
Community engagement for, 2 properties, 1712 East Albany and,
1940
1940 Spruce Street.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All right, second by, the Sanchez beat you by a lot of voice, Mr. Maloney. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, all right, let's move on.
There's one more thing. That's the motion from last month on Spruce, 1712. I need a motion to recommend the CRA board. Y'all asked for additional information. If you're satisfied with it, that's great, but I need a better motion. Sorry.
I would like
to move forward.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson, you got the floor.
I would like to make a recommendation that we go ahead and proceed with the purchase of 1712 East Albany.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Wow, Mr. Maloney beat you this time, Mr. Sanchez. I mean, y'all is like, okay, so second by Mr. Maloney on this one. Any discussion? Mrs. Williams.
North Albany.
North
Albany.
North Albany.
And we said up to $480,000.
Up to 400.
Pending due diligence and all that.
400 and what? Get that number straight now.
400,000 or 400?
480,000.
480,000. Up to 480,000.
Thank you.
All right, this discussion, Mr. Flynn.
I wanted to make a friendly amendment that we acquire it for options D and C, options 2 and 3. The
I
mixed
accept.
use, either
I see what you're saying, because they
commercial
supposed
or
to be the telling
mixed
intent
use.
up front.
Yes, that's
Gotcha. Okay, so the motion is that we acquire the property with the intent for using option 2 or 3?
correct.
Okay, that friendly amendment is accepted?
Accepted.
Okay, so y'all understand the motion now, is to go ahead and purchase up to 480,000, the property, the blue house at
1712 North.
1712 North Albany for option 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jesus. Okay,
Thank
moving on. So we got it. I thought you had to leave.
Still me.
Don't you go nowhere, because I got an issue on this, housing rehabilitation renovation report.
Okay,
So
we'll talk
that-
about that.
Okay, now we did Albany, now you got the new Christian program.
Yes, so I am proposing, some backstory, I'm proposing a new project for the west side, because I know the west side is the what? Yes, west side.
West side.
You know what it is. Okay, so coincidentally, while I'm looking at the other street properties to figure out at that time what I could, do with that, I happened to run into 3 other properties that were on 1948 West Spruce. And just so coincidentally, I happened to go by and meet up with a representative from Domain. I'm about to bring them up now. And he just mentioned, hey, we're under contract for those properties. So at that point, I'm like, oh crap, this would have been so good if we could, because it would have been a block that we would have had for home purchase at that point. I'm always focused on home ownership, I don't like to really subsidize the rest of it, but I know that a lot of renters, they're gonna be renters, they're not gonna be homeowners, but I wanna focus on the home ownership. So at that point, I said, you know what, let's have a conversation to see if we can partner and create affordable housing options. So I'm going to bring Domain Homes up, I'm bringing Kevin Vogel from Domain Homes, because I proposed to them if we could provide some level of subsidy to buy down the price of this home and make it more affordable for the end user at below 120% AMI, would you listen? Would you want to partner on that? So tonight we're going to present 9 lots that they didn't come to us for any requests. I want to start with that. This wasn't a request that they came to us and say, hey, B, can we get some funding. I proposed some funding out of our unit creation and conversion line item that we have in our budget to have some home ownership opportunities in the West Tampa CRA. So I'm going to bring up Kevin real quick and Jim, the team, I'll introduce the team. So they could go over the proposed house plans that they want to put on those lots. Now, mind you, we don't own these lots. These are their lots that no matter what, without our financing and our funding, they're going to build lots that are going to sell in West Tampa. So what I thought of a creative way of saying it is we have already earmarked money, 30% of our budget. We already have a line item that's under the unit creation area of 1.5 million. Let's have a conversation to see how we could create home ownership, new construction opportunities for the West Tampa CRA. So I'm going to have, you want to kick it off, Kevin? Or
Yeah. Hold on. I got someone ready to listen.
What's 120 AMI? How much do they have to make a year?
I'll bring up, that's like about 70 a year. That's the max. So they could go up to 120%. I'll get you the numbers.
120,
Let's
they're
just,
gonna be making close to 100 grand a year. Right?
at 140, they're at 102,000, but 120 is up there. But it could go up to And second part of the presentation is that it's not only the subsidy that I proposed for the project, but we could earmark 9 slots for down payment assistance for people from the community, so West Tampa residents that are currently here. I have relationships with the different housing counseling agencies that hold all of these people, meaning they go there for budgeting, credit counseling, home purchase counseling, so they already have their list of people from different areas. So part of this whole new proposal, this hasn't been done, is to work with the agencies to get people that are from West Tampa to purchase these homes that are already mortgage ready, they already went through their first time home buyer class, and they're under the certain income. So there is very much a possibility that a person that's making 80% area median income, which is at $50,000 a year, could afford it with the down payment assistance that we already have earmarked in our budget. So this is all money we have earmarked. So again, they didn't come to us. I kind of went to them to try to create these opportunities. Can they go?
No. Like, I'm like, going back to Ms. Sanchez, their agreement is 140. So
Yes.
most decision go to 120.
It was actually just a proposal of mine to go to 120 because it's still under the 140. It's still under the 40 mark. It still gives a good enough income to afford these homes. So I just didn't want to cap it all the way to 140 as, people are afraid of, people with higher income coming in. I was like, okay, at least the 80 to 120% AMI as you stand right now will still get you a mortgage. So that was the thought process. Okay.
There was that disconnect.
All right.
Cool.
That's one, yes, sir.
I want to thank the West Tampa CAC for having us in today. I'm not that good. Okay. I can only do one thing at a time. So my name is Kevin Robles. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Domain Homes. I brought with me today Jim McCarthy, our Land Acquisition Department, as well as Terry Aikens, which runs all our purchasing, buying the houses out, that sort of thing. Yes, B approached us, said, oh my gosh, you guys are buying these things in West Tampa, and we've been looking at them. So it's a unique proposition that has been made here, but I think you need to really kind of grasp what Domain Homes is trying to do. We recognize that attainable housing in West Tampa is getting out of control. We've been in West Tampa early on after the Great Recession. We were one of the first ones in. We've probably produced 100 units there. It breaks my heart that I can't get the prices any lower. But the reality is, cost of a lot of land now is tripled in the last however much time. It is. We do have experience in West Tampa. The unique part about this is what we're looking for is to underwrite some of the construction as well as partner up with your housing counseling folks to bring us eligible folks to purchase these homes. And this is a home ownership proposition, and what I think is unique about it is, as B had indicated, it does allow folks in West Tampa to purchase in West Tampa. I don't believe, and Malik will have to kind of confirm that, I don't know that it's restricted to a West Tampa resident, but we are asking to be underwritten after the fact. I'm not coming here looking for money. Because we own these properties and they're in process of being permitted, 4 of them are under construction. 4 of them are under construction today. So there's an urgency to this proposition that if indeed we want to partner with the West Tampa CRA, using West Tampa CRA to have dollars to bring in this targeted group of pool of eligible buyers, we have the product to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost so straightforward, it's almost too simple.
Yeah.
But we do have a proven track record in West Tampa. We understand West Tampa overlay requirements. We understand as good as anybody what it will take to produce a unit within West Tampa, within the overlay, as well as you also offer a segment to the population that may be eligible for these, that there's a fixed price with new construction that allows them to run the house as efficiently as possible versus doing a rehab on an older house. And I'm not, look, at this point, guys, and I'm gonna tell you one who is a huge proponent of affordable housing, we're way past affordable housing, we're in attainable housing at this point in this city. And I have listened to any elected official that'll listen to me. We have to simply find ways to service a larger population of folks that want to live and work and contribute into Tampa. Period, end of story. So anytime something like this comes along for us, we want to raise our hand and go, yes, we'll participate in that. Contrary to popular belief, I do not want to build $1 million house. I'd rather build 100, $300,000 houses and put 100 people in houses. And lastly, I will say that we have interfaced with various agencies within the city of Tampa, and the last project that I did with the city of Tampa, we put 100 single-family homes with 100 families in East Tampa. I bought $43 for every dollar the city brought to the table, and oh, by the way, they got every dollar they had back in that project. So I can stand on my reputation. I can go produce some houses should the CAC see their way clear on this. That's my conversation at this point.
So again, they have a total of 9 parcels that they're looking to produce 9 houses on. Okay, so we had the 2309 through 2315 West Spruce. So that looks like the elevation A. And then Standardly, which is, they're proposing 2324 West St. Conrad Street. As they mentioned, some of them are already, under construction. And some of them, they have already identified what type of housing will be built on there. There are 1,400 square foot homes. These are 3-2. Yes. So 3-2s. And again, different elevation styles for the buyers that are coming in. Again, this will be a pilot. I can testify for the East Tampa project because I was a part of it. So I was a part of the private sector working with Domain to get the 100 buyers, and 89% of those buyers were from East Tampa. So we partnered with the local housing counseling agencies that had the list of the individuals, and I met with each and every one of those families and walked through that process with the family. So there were people from East Tampa, and 86% were, African American from East Tampa that purchased those homes. So again, I just wanted to bring this forward as we said, and try to figure out affordable housing options. This one, like I mentioned, we're looking for those 3 houses that were right there on the spruce to kind of see whether we rehab them or just, hey, what can we propose? I just happened to go into the office and meet with Jen, and then just that idea saying, hey, a minimum contribution of $75,000 per household that we could provide restricts these units for 50 years as affordable housing. In addition to that, whatever assistance that these individuals get through the city, they have a 20-year term that they have to oblige by for their down payment assistance, which again, they get $50K. So it's helping underwrite the purchase price down to they cannot be sold for more than $450. And it also helps with that end user with their income limit with the down payment assistance, which in this case, they can get up to $100,000, 50 from us and 50 for the city. to go in, and that just buys the price down of their loan, so they can go ahead and afford that mortgage payment, getting them into that. Again, this is for purchase. So this is not a rental, no property maintenance or anything, these are all for purchase, and they're, again, I'm asking them, can we partner on this? So, I just wanted to propose that tonight.
So how much are the houses?
They're going to be sold for no more than $450. They're all, different ranges, but the max is $450 in order to do.
So the guarantee from the developer will be $450 for the house?
Correct, because once they get our funding, we cannot exceed the maximum purchase price set by the state of Florida.
And they get $100,000, so now they have a mortgage of $350,000. So how much is that monthly?
That is, right now, it's less than, with property taxes and insurance, you're about that 2,100 mark. Again, it's not only $100K that the buyer can get. They can also team up with their lender, which they also work with Bank of America, that gives them additional like 17 grand to put it down as well, to make it comfortable. So we could get these mortgages at least down below 2 grand. But we got it subsidized on the end user, which is the down payment assistance, the type of loan they get, and all of that stuff. But on the back end, I also want to just put that incentive so I can hold these units for 50 years. That means that when that buyer decides they could stay there 50 years, okay, great. But if they decide to resell it, they have to contact us so we can income qualify that new buyer. Again, keeping it affordable for decades. So again, it was something that, I just thought that let me just run it by you guys. They have these available. I mean, it's something to think about, to digest, so we can go ahead and create these 9 home ownership opportunities.
Okay, now, keep on making.
I think he would.
Let me just say this, okay, all right? First of all, I'm gonna look to my left over there. No, Bobby Wilson, a housing man, and man. Still, they're on sabbatical.
I retired.
You retired, I thought you did. Bobby, what's your first impression?
I think it's a good idea, honestly, because I like Kevin with the word attainable. It's like attainable housing in Tampa, down to Tampa is getting harder and harder and harder.
Meaning, explain that for us, make people attainable.
Attainable is like, attainable, if you're making 80K, like back in the day, like you could probably buy a house in Tampa, like Easton. But now you cannot. Even 100K, you cannot buy anything in Central Tampa because most of the homes are
not attainable. So they're not attainable. So we're trying to make them attainable.
Attainable, yeah. So this is a good opportunity. They're in the core of Central Tampa. Everyone wants to be in Central Tampa because of all the stuff that's happening here. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, now, all right, so I'm talking to my housing expert.
I don't know about that.
And now I know the deals, I know what time it is. Now, let me just tell you why. There are city staffers making 6 figures, can't get attainable housing. Listen to me, there are city staffers making 6 figures, can't get attainable housing. I'm not gonna call them names, but I know them all. So my thing is this is big. Has this been done anywhere else in the CRA?
East Tampa, because it was done through the infill program.
Through who?
The infill development program.
Okay.
So you heard of that big infill development
Who
program?
was the people that was developing that?
Domain
Oh,
Homes,
the
for
same
infill
thing.
phase 1. Now, the 2 phases that happen after infill phase 1, they are operated differently because just
So that the CDC, did they have any involvement in it?
the CDC did get some lots in infill phase 2 and 3, and in phase 1, we were partnered with the CDC. When I say we,
There was some controversy.
yes, there was some stuff.
There was some controversy about the lots, right?
Well, the lots were all, everything was done fair and square. The
I
controversy is transparency from the area. They wanted homegrown builders.
All right, so this is the first time we tried this creative process in West Tampa?
Yes.
It's different than just a rehab, it's different than the commercial grant,
Yes.
it's different than that. And so it's gonna require buy-down assistance and it's gonna require
Developer subsidy.
developer subsidies, the two words. How much buy-down assistance are we talking and how much subsidies are you, what's the ask?
So, well, no, just the telling, because they didn't ask, I proposed 75K per unit. And
So
that's
how
the
many units they talking?
that's 9.
How much is that?
So totally, last time I did that was, 75, I think it was 750. How much, 675, 675.
$675?
Yeah.
But that was just the buy-down? Okay, then what's the other thing?
The
developer?
the developer subsidy is the buy-down, the construction cost part of it.
So how much is
The
that?
down payment assistance, we have $1.5 million in down payment assistance right now that is open to anyone. I just wanted in-house to hold 9 of the slots for this project.
How much?
So for that side,
9 people, how much is
times
that? I'm
50K.
trying to get a number.
so 9 times 50K
Is it 50?
is
No,
450.
50 is 450.
So it's 50 for buy-down assistance, just from our money.
So it's 675 for the unit creation and conversion, which is the developer subsidy.
Okay, and then,
Then I'm earmarking 450 out of our
what's
DPA
the number
budget.
that at the bottom?
1,125,000.
Okay, and then we would then see 9 units that would be attainable.
Single family.
And we'd have
Single
restrictions,
family.
we'd have restrictions on it for 50 years.
Yes,
And then they would be targeted for people from a group of people from West Tampa.
yes, that's the first thing, like,
That there would be people from West Tampa.
It's not necessarily from West Tampa.
I know, but that would be preferred,
Preferred, like, yeah.
we'll do our best, when I say I will do my best to make sure that their address that they have currently is reflecting West Tampa, and that they are prepped, ready to go
And
for
then
EPA, because I can't,
so how low can an AMI person qualify for a 450 diesel since we provided this?
Joe, if I may add one thing, on our experience in East Tampa, under the program in East Tampa, 86% of our buyers, 100 buyers, 86 of them came from within the East Tampa CRA.
That would right there, because people come moving in all the time. But my thing is, what's the AMI eligible, what eligibility are we targeting? Huh?
if you, I don't have the.
Is that
the-
short?
give me 1 second.
To go up to, from what? From 0 to 120, or 30 to 120, I mean. Obviously, the people that, there's a certain low end ain't gonna be able to afford this deal. So what is the real AMI that can be afforded this? Is it 80%?
Right now,
My question is,
80% at 56,000 a year can underwrite this at $100,000 worth of down payment assistance.
And we're only giving them 50 down payment.
Because they're getting 50 from the city, so it's.
Is that a
gonna be
guarantee that we're gonna get, able to get $50,000, from the city?
Yes, because all their deals are partnered with CRA, so yes.
They have money, the city has money in the budget, to do it. We got our money.
Yes, they got
Okay,
money.
but I'm saying, the city got money to put up a 50 without a 50 match?
Yes, they do have money, and again, I'm answering your first question about the AMI, and I wanna just, right here.
Well, it's not, as Bobby said, it's okay, I mean, I'm not concerned about, but my thing is, this is, people always saying, well, you're always dealing with the 6-figure people, and nobody at the 40 AMI can even get a house for $300,000, $450,000, they end up down the system in the world, they end up developing credit in the world to get that person in a home. So, I tell them, they probably don't need to be an apartment, and that's why we got West Road.
Yeah.
Because apartments, I keep telling you, HUD is considered a dwelling, it's considered affordable. Apartments are put around. But my question is so, I don't know, people, what do y'all think? I mean, it sounds like, we don't have such a thing like this. But I think that we might wanna dip into it. Yes.
$32.
Yeah.
They're 1,400.
I have a question.
Hold on, Jeanette, and then Ms. Tina. Okay, go ahead.
This is probably for Kevin. What would the market rate price be for these homes? The range. So roughly 600,000. And so these are $600,000 homes going for 450,000 in this scenario.
Motion on the floor for us to consider this. What we need to do?
There's a financial impact to it.
Yeah, I already told them, we figured that out.
We're gonna calculate
Yeah,
that.
while we were calculating. So I guess it's just the
Well, I mean,
motion.
this, we would have to allocate this, Ms. Brenda, do we have this money?
Yes, we have a lot.
Have we earmarked it for anything yet?
No, we have not done
Commercial
unit
grant, this is
creation.
what line item this is?
So this is called unit creation and conversion.
And we have how much on
We
that?
have $2.4 million.
In there now? How
In
much
there
that's
right now.
committed? How much is encumbered?
Nothing.
And we have done nothing?
Nothing.
It's time for us to move on this,
Yes.
okay? Because we done, before we need to, let me explain something to y'all about these Republicans, about Tallahassee. Just approved this budget. We need to move it or lose it. And we need to show that we're moving it to something that's gonna be attainable and in the city and in the CRA and in our part of town. And they're gonna try their best to get folks, maybe from here, but I ain't holding them to that. But if we get new people here, maybe we might do something. So I'm ready to entertain a motion. If y'all wanna make a motion to take this from
Before you do it, I just want to do a disclaimer that I will definitely try 1,000% to get everyone from West Tampa in without violating any fair housing laws.
Well, right, we know that, and we understand that, but we know that what we want is, we want good, solid residents and people that need help, and then we can get credit for establishing nine. See, this is more of what I like instead of putting 450,000 in one house. You just calculate, if we could take 50,000 for nine, it's 450. That same 450 we put them in that one house, look at the value new house, look what we could do, folks. So that's all I'm saying. I like this because we're working with, there ain't no question about the main home to build a house. There ain't no question that they're quality building. There ain't no question that they done built in these slum and black areas and they know it inside and out. Okay? My thing is, I think we need to make a movement, but I can't make the motion.
I'm prepared to make a motion, but I think there are other people that have comments.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Jeff. All right. Was it Ms. Jones, I think? Ms. Jones.
She can go ahead.
Ms. Sanchez.
Use the mic.
The mic, okay, Ms. Sanchez, and then you can make the motion yourself.
Okay, so this is a contract with Domain Homes. Are you all opening up to other developers and some of these small business, minority business owners? They're developers that are coming out, they're coming forward. So how are you going to do that?
Because well, first they will require a pre-consultation where we go over what we're proposing. So, what they're proposing. So again, they do have to have ownership over that land, that is a parcel. I can't go over that. They have to have a land to be part of the deal. So we'll go and I'll review all of that. I'll do their sources and their funds. There's some developers I help get lines credit on some codes. I mean, I work with developers all day to kind of fund these. I would like the small ones, it works like, hey, let's work this out. So no, we're open for business on it. As you know, like Bertha just mentioned 2.5, and they're currently, but I just wanted to get something happening.
Well, these people are ready, willing, and able. Yeah, okay, we can deal with minority developers, but ain't none of them walking in this door, ain't none of them trying to get, and this is a multiple property deal. This is the part I like about it. It's multiple. It's not no onesies and twosies. Okay, and these are single family homes, these are 3 2s, and they 1,400 square feet, okay? And so to me, they ready. Are you sitting over there, ain't you part of the community? Oh, you stretching there? So, I mean, all right, are you done, Mrs. Sanchez?
I'm done.
Okay, Mrs. Jones, you got the floor. Get your mic, you got to talk more.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to get this done, but I will put a motion for us to on the floor for Domain home, single home. Okay, now to cap it at 50,000 that needs to be in here? Is that simple?
Well, that's the max, I can't do no bills above 450.
In other words, if they go over 450,
Per
we can't
unit.
do this deal.
Yeah, I can't, cause I'm regulated by Florida Housing, the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, and that's like, similar to a CRP that we submit to the state. Housing submits their initiatives to the state and has to be approved, their max for purchase price, so they can't sell it for more than that with the developer subsidy.
So with the AMI being at 100
Up to 120%.
120% AMI. So that's the motion.
The motion needs to include the amount of money that we're going to be allocating out of this budget for this too.
We did that, we
So,
that's why you need to get on here and tell us what the money was, I asked you how much that was.
675.
Okay, so if they could add that to the motion, that you would partner with Domain Homes to make these 9 homes affordable.
How much,
Up
let's
to.
get Bobby structure a motion to help this amendment.
You spending on it, Bobby.
It's just adding in the dollar amount, which was
Yeah.
what'd you say it was?
675,000.
675.
So, there's two amounts of money. One
Well,
is,
that doesn't say 9, you have to say the 9 lots, right?
yeah, we knocked the 9 lots.
9 lots.
The four, let's see, 450,000, safety net, and we're gonna put 675,000 for the build, what is that called, a builder?
Developer subsidy.
Developer subsidy, and we're gonna put $50,000 times 9, 450,000 for, buy down systems. For a total of, Mrs. Brendan, what's that total number?
I got the 675, what was the other part?
1,125,000.
1,125,000 from our what line item? Mrs. Thunderbolt?
Okay, you've got 675,
From unit creation and down payment assistance.
correct.
So the 675 will come from the unit creation and the 450 will come out of the down
So you
payment.
accept that as your motion, Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir.
And that's the motion, is the motion clear? Is there a second to Mr. Jones' motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Griffin. Is there any discussion to Mr. Jones' motion as clarified?
One question.
Yes, Mr. Sanchez.
Okay, so those, are you giving exclusivity to Jermaine for those 9 lots, or are you going to?
They all- they all-
Okay, own them.
They all of them.
That was the whole thing.
I got it.
Yeah, they own it.
I got it.
You're basically recommending a partnership
Yeah.
with Domain to make
All
that.
right, so we got it clear. You got the motion clear, Mrs. All right, Bobby. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's move on here.
All right, thank you very
If
much.
anybody has any questions after your regular meeting, I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. I will leave you with 2 thoughts. Number 1, thank you very much. I think the partnership in trying to bring some attainable housing in West Tampa is noble on y'all's part. We're certainly a willing participant. And the beauty part about it, I don't know if y'all saw that 3-story house there, but that actually is a single-family home with a secondary kitchenette in the bottom, so it can legally house 2 family entities in it. It is not a duplex. So the bottom floor is set up for abuelitas and that sort of thing. So you have a little kitchen facility, a little living room, and then the second, third floor, second part of the family. So I think that's important. If you're gonna start combining households, that's the only way you're gonna get there.
We got y'all out there. Let's move on.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, you're right. I'm not, you're right.
Okay, CRA staff reports, let's move, man. It's getting late, man. But this is our last meeting until August, so just bear with me here. We still got a quorum, no.
We don't have a quorum, but you had a quorum when you started the meeting, so.
Bobby gone?
Bobby's left.
Bobby's left.
All right,
Just
so
to
let's
tell
not
you,
that we can vote on, but we can.
No, but the-
Okay. So that was last vote, not the last vote we had to take?
yes.
Okay, roll it.
So CRA staff reports are all included in your packet, and I also blew up the break
Okay,
report.
Ms. Lee, don't go nowhere. On staff reports, let me say this.
Okay.
On this CRA thing here, I can hardly read. We can get the next over to somebody, so we done with that, right? The only thing is, under this housing rehabilitation renovation program, the only thing I don't like is that this is for all CRAs.
Yeah.
And we had asked previously to break out these numbers just for West Tampa CRA. Because I want to show you, there ain't that much going on. So just please, when you bring it, I don't know what the rest of them want, but when you bring it to us and show us this house rehabilitation renovation program chart, please just show us the totals and then show us what we got going on. Because this is deceiving. You know, I'm not saying it's not wrong, it's right, but it's deceiving that this represents what's happening West Tampa. It ain't. And actually, West Tampa has zeros on it. Okay? So I just said, that's all I had on that. Is anything, anybody got anything else on any of the CRA staff reports that will all include our package A through D? If not, new business. Any new business? Oh, you back?
Well, Mr. Burns.
All right, so now you back, we got a quorum now, Ms. Thrower?
Yes.
Bobby back?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Now we have any new business announcements?
Yeah.
Any announcements?
I have an announcement from Ms. Fenton. She just left. She just wanted to announce that the West Tampa Chamber is celebrating a ribbon cutting for their new office on July 11th, from 11 to 1, and they are moving into Cohatch. So I would
Where
make
is
sure.
that? Which one is Cohatch?
Right on Main Street.
Well, all of the Cohatch, what I'm saying is it the Bexley's, the old Bexley's or what?
It's 2130 West Main Street.
That's July 11th?
So it's July 11th, and
Right.
I saw an invitation that went out from the chamber. I can probably forward
Or
it.
2111 West Main? So
West
2106 is on.
You can't miss it, it's brand new, yeah, that whole building there. So anyway, July 11th, 11 to 1, there's a ribbon cutting at 11:30, and she wants everyone to come.
July 11th.
July 11th.
11.
Yeah, 11 to 1.
Okay, so that's it. Yes, Mrs. Tina.
July 19th is the back to school health clinic at Blake High School. So any families that need immunizations, school physicals, or shop up there to enroll in school.
That's
The
it.
free clinic
At Big High School.
at Blake High.
Ms. Jones, did you say something? You usually have, you got another announcement? Okay, all right, let me do roll through these. 2318 North Beach Street, RM 16 Kitty, resident single family detached. 2405 Fleet Street, RM 16 Kitty, resident single family semi-detached. 2741 and 2747 West Green Street, CG to PG, resident single family detached and semi-detached. Zam Escalators is the first one. A tree on Arch 1526, be removed, Fred Henry from the main home. And it was 2 blocks for the same thing. Another tree removal, at, I have a second, doesn't say the street address, but it says, Celia Nichols. And then we got lot reconfiguration, Ron Cooper, application for decision, and 4311 West Riverview. And the applicant is Robin Cooper. A lot split reconfiguration at 315 West Tampa Boulevard with Vivian Bermudez. And then a vacant alley vacating at 31 West Dewey Street. We made a notification from the lead plumbing. And then, this goes with that. This is what the lead plumbing, that's the actual company. And that's all I have to do, Ms. Brenda. The next Saturday board meeting is July 24th.
No, August.
So there's no 24th? No, that's a Saturday board.
The CRA board, so the CRA board will meet in July 25th. Matter of fact, Chair Robinson
The 24th.
is the CAC report on that date.
Yeah, that's in August 14th at 9 a.m.
We have no meeting in July, and then our CAC
It's
meets
the,
on
I
August
said
14th.
Saturday board, it's that meeting, next meeting will be August 19th at 5:30. So I had to do what now? On what? Yeah, the 24th?
Every CRA, every CAC
I
has
know,
a report
right,
out,
okay,
and
what's
your
that
time is
time?
up in July, so.
Okay, all right, I got you.
July
Okay.
24th.
Okay, so with that said, give me some talking points, please.
I will, of course, we have.
As usual. Okay, with that, Meeting is adjourned. Y'all have a happy 4th of July.
Happy summer.
Walking out.
Thank you to Ms. Fancy Chan for all you've done for us. My twin. Huh? It's my last meeting.